Let's look at the news, where we want to begin with that London Marathon, where Kenyan Sebastian Sawe has made history at the London Marathon, becoming the first man to run under 2 hours in an official race. Sawe, who successfully retained his title, timed 1 hour 59 minutes 30 seconds, smashing the previous world record of 2 hours 35 seconds. Meanwhile, the women's race was won by Ethiopia's Tigist Assefa.
Finally breaking clear of Kejelcha and pressing on alone, he crossed the line in 1 hour 59 minutes 30 seconds, taking 65 seconds off the previous world record set by the late Kevin Kiptum in Chicago in 2023, and surpassing Eliud Kipchoge's 1 hour 59 minutes 41 seconds exhibition performance from 2019.
Historic performance, 1:59.30. Absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like that. What a finish. Was probably under 2 hours as well. Paula's just confirming to me.
In the women's race, Ethiopia's Tigist Assefa defended the title, winning in 2 hours 15 minutes 41 seconds and setting a new women-only world record. She edged out Kenya's Helen Obiri and Joycelyn Chepkosgei, who finished second and third respectively.
The champion again in 2026 and will set another women's only world record by about 10 seconds. Helen Obiri will smash her personal best to take second place in her first London Marathon, and Chepkosgei completes this brilliant trio of athletes.
And President William Ruto has called for decorum in the conduct of politics in the country. The head of state defended his deputy, who has lately been the subject of criticism by the DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua, describing him as a diligent and humble leader who does not deserve public ridicule.
Mimi niliwaeleza watu wa Tharaka Nithi ya kwamba tutabadilisha mfumo wa mambo ya afya.
In Kindiki's backyard of Chuka, Tharaka Nithi County, the president came to the defense of his deputy, who has been at the crosshairs of his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua in the battle for the control of Mount Kenya. The president told of Gachagua over his attacks, calling on him to accord Kindiki respect.
Kuna watu wako na madharau, kuna watu wako na kiburi mingi, wanamdharau huyu mungwana, wanamuita majina, ati soprano, ati nini, ati analamba nini. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa jamaa, nyinyi mnao mdharau huyu profesa. Huyu profesa anawashinda akili mara 100.
He described his deputy as a diligent public servant who has been assisting him to fulfill his pre-election pledges.
Huyu mungwana Profesa Kithure Kindiki ndio naibu wa rais wa taifa letu la Kenya kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, kwa sababu huyu mjamaa ni mtu ambaye anajitolea kufanya kazi. Mimi nakwambia wewe profesa, usijali na wale wanakudharau, usijali na wale na wanakutukana.
Ati unasema wewe kiongozi wa jamii, jamii ya nani? You will lead nobody, you will lead nowhere, you will lead no time. Wewe ngoja uone next year tutakumalizia. Mimi na William Ruto tutakutuma nyumbani.
Having been in the region for 3 days now, Ruto faulted the DCP leader, accusing him of advancing dictatorial political tendencies.
Wanataka kuamua ati watatoa ruhusa, ati mtu akitaka kwenda mahali fulani lazima waombe ruhusa. Ati hata mtu anaenda kuona rais lazima amuombe ruhusa. Ati wanatuambia wataamua nani atapata kura wapi, nani atachaguliwa wapi.
Sio lazima ujitangaze kiongozi. Kazi yako kama kiongozi ndio itafanya wananchi wakutambue na wakutangaze kama kiongozi wao.
Kuna wale already wameanza kutumana, na niliambia watu wa Mount Kenya, mnaunganishwa mwako kwa Kiondoo muende mkauzwe. Tayari wanatuma emissaries. Ni vile tu president ni mtu mngwana, hataki kuambia.
We will not give you conditions that we will elect you if you do this and this for us. Because you've done for us before, even when you're not on the ballot.
Ruto, despite criticism by the opposition over the cost of living, says he's undeterred and will continue to make difficult decisions for posterity.
Leadership is not about finger pointing. Leadership is not about looking for somebody to blame. Leadership is about seeking solutions for all the challenges and the problems we have as a nation.
The united opposition has faulted the Kenya Kwanza government for allegedly failing to tame wanton corruption, which they say is negatively affecting the country's economy. The opposition leaders who have wound up their Coast Region tour further said that most Kenyans have lost confidence in the administration, largely due to unfulfilled development pledges. They, however, expressed confidence in the judicial system as the DCP leader prepares to attend the full hearing of his impeachment case scheduled for today.
On Sunday, the united opposition took their charm offensive in Mombasa County. Here, the united opposition leaders went bare knuckle on the government, accusing it of failing to tame the ghost of corruption. On his part, the former deputy president, who described his impeachment process as fraudulent and illegal, is expected to attend the full hearing of the case at Milimani Locals on Monday, even as he expressed confidence in the judicial system.
The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has suspended discussions of financial support to Kenya because of matters corruption. The IMF have told us, they have told the world that they cannot continue engaging with this administration because of the corruption challenges.
Ya kwamba though our parliament was captured, tuna matumaini makubwa kwa mahakama yetu. Our judiciary is our last line of defense.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has announced his intention to join Gachagua during the hearing, has in the meantime condemned the Seikuru killings that claimed the lives of 7 people from the Kamba community.
Serikali ambayo haiwezi kudhibiti maisha ya watu wake, pastor, hiyo haiwezi kuwa serikali. And this thing has been continuing. Tulikuwa wakati ule mwingine upande wa Meru, Lari division in particular, Motuati, that same zone. Ni kama watu wamesaulika na hii serikali.
Elsewhere, leaders aligned to the broad-based government have sharply criticized opposition figures, accusing them of lacking a clear development agenda and engaging in divisive politics for personal gain. Speaking during an interdenominational service at Kapchemugun in Amisi Vihiga County, the leaders led by the Speaker of National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, accused the opposition of promoting tribal and regional divisions aimed at destabilizing the country.
Na sisi tumeunga marais wa nchi hii tangu mzee Kenyatta, tukaunga mkono. Mzee Moi, tukaunga mkono. Mzee Kibaki, tukafanya kazi na yeye. Hata Uhuru tuliunga yeye mkono, akatupika kisogo. Hakuwa anatembea huku kwetu.
Sasa wanajiita the disunited alternative government. My friends, I want to tell you, you cannot be an alternative government if you have no agenda, you have no policy propositions to the people of Kenya on how to move Kenya forward.
Hii kikundi ilikuwa Vihiga na wale wengine wa kabila walikuwa Mombasa. Sponsor wao ni mmoja. Msifikiri ati ni vikundi mbili tofauti.
Finally, Nairobi County Women Representative aspirant Masingote has called on Kenyans to register as voters and actively participate in the electoral process, emphasizing the need to elect God-fearing leaders to promote good governance. Speaking during a grassroots engagement forum in Nairobi, Ngoto is vying for the seat under the United Democratic Alliance, said that voter apathy continues to undermine democratic process in the country.
Tuhakikishe raundi hii tunaweka watu ambao wanaogopa Mungu. Si kila mtu ambaye tunaenda kumpatia kiti. Tunaenda kupatia viti wale watu ambao wanafanya nini? Wanamwogopa nani? Wanamwogopa Mungu.
Now, the Linda Mwananchi movement says it will field a presidential candidate in the 2027 general election, even as their Linda ground counterparts pursue a consensus with the ruling United Democratic Alliance. I beg your pardon. The team sustained its call for accountability by the President, William Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza administration on a myriad of governance issues, among them compensation for victims of police brutality. As weekly vocational reports, the team hailed Kisumu residents maintaining peace during a rally held in the lakeside Kisumu County despite earlier threats from their rival camps.
After days of tension among locals and leaders from the lakeside Kisumu County regarding the anticipated Linda Mwananchi rally, the team hit the streets of Kisumu City, unrelenting in their call for accountability by the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Ruto aliweka mkataba ya 10.9 agenda. Hajatimiza hata moja.
The brigade not only condemned the recent attack on Viga Senator Godfrey Osotsi in Kisumu, the leaders also challenged the security docket to apprehend everyone involved.
Sasa niko na ujumbe kutoka jamii ya Mulemi. Waluya wanasema watu wa Kisumu, asanteni sana kwa sababu baada ya ile kitu ilifanyikia ndugu yetu Osotsi hapa Kisumu, nyinyi ndio mlitambua wale wakora ambao walipiga mheshimiwa Osotsi. Wangapi wamelani wale walimpiga Osotsi? Nione kwa mikono.
Na nyinyi mnajua sisi Waluya na nyinyi Wajaluo, sisi ni kitu kimoja, si ndio? Baba alituacha kama kitu kimoja.
The leaders, among them Edwin Sifuna, James Orengo, Babu Owino and Raphael Tuju, maintained they will field a presidential candidate in next year's polls.
Wewe unasema Ruto tuta, nani alikuambia ODM haiwezi kutoa rais mwaka 2027? Who told you?
Wakasema kwamba ati hao wataki kiti ya president, hao wataki kiti ya deputy president, ati hao wanataka power. Munakubaliana na hao?
The team vowed not to relent in their push for better governance and accountability by government.
Na tukienda mbele, mimi nataka mshikane kabisa, tukomboe Kenya, tupeleke Kenya mahali Kenya baba alikuwa anataka ikue.
The leaders also lauded Lakeside City residents for ensuring a peaceful meeting despite earlier fears of political confrontations. Reporting for Channel 1 from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okage.
To matters education now. For years, universities' performance has been pegged on how many students they admit and graduate. But with rising concerns of joblessness among, I beg your pardon. For years, university performance has been pegged on how many students they admit and graduate. But with rising concerns over joblessness among graduates, attention is now shifting to how well universities prepare students for the competitive labor market. Higher education institutions are now under pressure to show clear pathways from campus to employment, with some beginning to adjust their training models to include mentorship, career guidance, and stronger industry linkages.
In Nairobi, graduates, educators and industry representatives gathered for a forum whose focus was on identifying the gap between academic training and job market demands. Discussion centered on the need to strengthen mentorship, expand alumni networks, and improve professional exposure for students before and after graduation.
We track our graduates. After they finish, we have a database and where we keep in touch with our graduates. We collect data from the market and collecting data from the employers themselves and also from our graduates to know where they are working and in which sector.
The discussions come amid growing concerns over graduate unemployment, with employers increasingly prioritizing practical experience, adaptability and workplace readiness over academic qualifications alone. Employers say many graduates leave institutions via learning with theory but lack the practical skills and exposure required in the workplace, raising questions about how well institutions are aligning training with labor market demands. In response, some universities are now shifting towards long-term strategies that combine mentorship programs, career development support, and structured alumni engagement.
We have, for example, AI, which is not an old concept, but already that is ingrained in our learners. And more so, we are training the professors, the lecturers and in giving them the skills in AI so that they can be able to equip the graduates.
Let's cross over to the U.S., where one suspect has been arrested following the White House shooting incident at a correspondence dinner held in Washington. According to the reports given by U.S. President Donald Trump, one officer was shot during the confrontation but survived. The event was meant to bring together senior government officials, diplomats, and members of the press in what is traditionally a celebration of journalism and the presidency. Our reporter Arun Marie has the details.
The dinner was about raising money for promising young journalism students from across the country who receive financial assistance from the White House Correspondents Association, not knowing that the dinner would end up so abruptly in a shooting incident. Moments before the incident, President Trump was seated alongside First Lady Melania Trump and other dignitaries. Multiple gunshots rang out inside the venue on Saturday evening, triggering panic among guests as security moved in swiftly to contain the situation. Secret Service agent quickly shielded the president and escorted him out of the ballroom. One officer was shot at a close range during the confrontation but survived. Authorities have since confirmed that the suspect, identified as Cole Thomas Allen, a 31-year-old man from Torrance, California, is in custody. He is reported to have been armed with multiple weapons and is expected to face several federal charges. While leaders have condemned the attack, terming it as a threat to democratic institutions, while expressing relief that no fatalities were reported. The White House has assured the public that security measures remain robust despite the incident. Reporting for Sunday Express, I'm Aaron Marie.
Let's now focus on sports, where Gor Mahia stretched the lead at the top of the table to 6 points after edging out ARC rivals FC Leopards 1-0 in a pulsating Mashemeji derby at the Nyayo National Stadium, a match that stirred every possible emotion in the stands. Elsewhere, KCB FC and Kakamega Homeboys played out to a 1-1 draw.
Gor Mahia fans rolled with belief and expectation, their chants echoing across the stadium, while Ingwe supporters answered back with equal passion of full their side would upset the league leaders. On the pitch, that energy translated into a fierce, balanced contest. The first half ended goalless, leaving both sets of fans tense but optimistic. After the break, Kogalo began to assert dominance, and the supporters sensed a breakthrough was coming. Every forward move drawing louder anticipation. Then came the defining moment in the 84th minute. Alpha Onyango struck and the stadium erupted.
Inaletwa ndefu huku, cheza Emmanuel Mwangu, Unyuna inarudishwa ndani huku, Alpha!
At full time, it was pure elation for Kogalo's faithful, who now see the title within touching distance as their team climbs to 61 points.
Ukiangalia second half tumemiliki game, ukiangalia ukweli kabisa ni ile tu wamekuwa tu black wakapata bao. Kelly na Beja at least wameleta ile kitu kwa first half. Na siku at least iliweza kustabilize game. Na ni bahati mbaya wacha tuseme.
We looked at exactly what they were made of. And so we strategized everything. And in the second half, in the first half, you realize that we were better, we controlled the game, they couldn't operate, and that is exactly what we planned.
Elsewhere, KCB and Kakamega Homeboys played out to a 1-1 draw.
And the president of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, Shadrack Maluki, has announced that they'll be launching a fundraising initiative aimed at boosting preparations for Team Kenya ahead of this year's Commonwealth Games. Speaking during the unveiling of the initiative, Maluki said the move is intended to complement government funding and ensure Kenyan athletes are adequately prepared for the global showpiece.
With only 100 days left before the commencement of the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Kenya has stepped up its preparations as it seeks to send a largest contingent to this year's edition. NOC President has emphasized that while the government has continued to support sports, additional resources are necessary to meet the growing demands of international competition.
I also want to take the opportunity to tell the Kenyans that the government supports a lot. All we are trying to do is supplement, as the National Olympic Committee, come up with ways of also supporting the government contribution. It's not always relying on the government. So the current National Olympic Committee is looking at ways of getting funds outside the government.
94 Kenyan athletes have so far qualified for this year's edition, including women's and men's 3x3 basketball team, rugby sevens team, and athletics team, including Patrick Odongo, Kevin Wekesa, Boniface Mweresa, Westman Were, Mike Mokamba, and para rower Asia Sururu.
So I think there's potential to do even more and make even more of Kenya's sporting brilliance. And I think we want to build and work with Friends of Karua and Kenya Forest Service and this Friends of Karua running series to see how we create more mass participation opportunities.
Kenya will be seeking to clinch more medals in this year's edition of the Commonwealth Games after 94 athletes already confirmed their participation after they qualified to feature in this year's edition.
Thank you so much for keeping it KBC Channel 1. That's where we actually bring the news this morning to a close. But of course, Good Morning Kenya still continues. Victor Olo and my colleague Mike Migwe will be here to steer you through the rest of Good Morning Kenya. But as of now, we bring the news to a close. My name is Mariambo. Stay tuned to KBC Channel 1, where we'll be bringing you more news updates in the day. Good morning.
Are you ready for the next big thing in tech? Well, we'll spotlight Kenya's brightest young minds, game-changing startups, and breakthrough technology that are shaping our future. From AI and robotics to sustainable futures, we bring you the stories behind the scenes. KBC Channel 1. Remember, tech starts here.
Is that for sale? The gray one?
Yes, that's for sale.
Bring it.
Sure, sir.
My budget's about...
Why are you still moody?
I bought you in a purse.
Are you pretending to be rich or just insane? Huh? Where'd you get that kind of money?
I'll work hard and buy you a leather one.
Don't buy expensive stuff for me. You like?
Unataka kuruka? Inasimagwa hivyo. Unataka unipeleka hapa kwa stage. Lipa kwanza. Hautaiba, hii ni mpya.
Everything is sparkling clean. Arrange me.
Ndio hiyo sasa nitakulipa hiyo tarehe 7.
Ndio yangu nayo ilalangi.
Kwenda kabisa.
Nakulaji takula hivyo vibaya kama mtoto mdogo ya class tu, hata mtoto mdogo ya class tu akabatali.
Nani?
Huu naye iko wapi? Mokaka selisha rensen kitambo na akaenda.
Kama wanajeshi wale wa kukagua gwaride. Unajua hauzeeki kabisa.
Ulikuwa unataka nizeke unipeleke buchari gani?
Sasa hii mokaka hakuna. Takasi iko mzuri namna gani? Hii ni kazi gani unaweza ambia kwa watu ni kazi?
All right, welcome back. It's now 7 a.m. Let's take a look at basically what's happening across the country. First of all, starting with the front page of the local dailies. Before we get to this discussion, on the front page of The Star, GMO debate divides Kenyans as hunger bites yields fall. GMO debate divides Kenyans as hunger bite, yields fall. Farmers are now earning, their earnings have actually dropped with 3.3 million people facing starvation. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. One thing to note is that of Sebastian Sawe. Sawe, first man to run marathon under 2 hours. That happened in London Marathon. Congratulations once again to Sebastian Sawe, 1 hour 59:30 seconds. Linda Mwananchi defy intimidation, attract a massive crowd in Kisumu. That was yesterday. The Edwin Sifuna-led Linda Mwananchi team yesterday pushed ahead with a planned rally in Kisumu, despite early attempts to disrupt the engagements by rival groups. They made their entrance to Kisumu. YDP is taking Ruto's vote hunt to the villages ahead of election. Deputy President, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, has quietly shifted the ruling UDA campaign machine from noisy urban rallies to remote villages in what insiders describe as a calculated ground game to lock out support for President William Ruto. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. There's another sad story here. Over the weekend, fears after gunmen killed 7 people in Kitui and 1 survivor hospitalized. That actually happened in Kitui, and now members of the public are calling on the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, to beef up security to avert more tragedy and deaths in that area. Okay. Linda Mwananchi defied crowds. That's what happens. Expansion, capital injection. Again, the story on the inner pages. I want to give Wakili Kithi to give me the front page of the Daily Nation of the Standard. Go ahead, Wakili.
From the Standard, it's triumphant entry. On the front page, Kisumu Road back to life as Linda Mwananchi faction, led by James Orengo, Babu Wino and Edwin Sifuna, stormed the city and crushed attempts to block the rally. Now crowds overwhelmed goons, tore down barricades and cleared the way for a defiant procession. Speaker after speaker turning to the government, accusing it of failure and reigniting Antuto chance. Most interesting is the rally revived the spirit of Raila Odinga and exposed a fierce battle for his base, leaving William Ruto and Oburu Odinga facing a restless and convinced stronghold.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that. And finally, the front page of the Daily Nation, why civil servants and teachers reject SHA. Why civil servants and teachers reject SHA. We are still waiting for Mwalimu Akelo Misori to be here. Remember, they signed that deal last week with the Ministry of Health. Teachers, civil servants and doctors, they have got some grievances. Still on the front page, Sifuna, Orengo's ODM camp rose in Kisumu. Again captured on the front page of the Standard. One important thing, Sebastian Sawe's historic marathon run in under 2 hours wins world praises. Another world record set there. There was a very weird and incident that happened in the White House, in the US.
Yes. Yes.
The correspondence conference and just a dinner evening. That perhaps shook the inner nerves of the central nerves of the security in Washington. Yeah, that one.
and the president was present.
Exactly. That was quite unprecedented. And when President Trump was asked whether that gunman was targeting him, he said, absolutely yes. But he was immediately arrested and taken in custody. 31-year-old gentleman, a lone gunman who was armed with a shotgun and a submachine gun. He was not injured. And yes, that's what happened. Correspondence, that's happened. What do you make of this, Wakili?
I think there are two faces to it. One is what's going on globally in terms of the Iran, US-Israel war. it has some grievances and sparks some emotions, not necessarily religious. It has different opinions, and some of these opinions are very emotive to especially the youthful population of the US and the world. So that is one face of it. The other face of it is probably the politics of US in itself, the dejection, life, the cost of living, and other grievances, especially on unemployment. There has been the debate on the rights to hold and own a gun. Of course, the gun owners and manufacturers have been very pro, to ownership of guns in the population. Of course, the other side of the political divide there have been very vocal on taming possession and trying to make it more difficult to possess guns, especially the youthful age and a certain processes that one has to go through. Owning a gun is not in Kenya a right. In the US it's a right. And therefore a lot of it is cited around the constitutional right to protection and self-defense. We haven't gotten there in that debate in Kenya yet, but it comes and captures the entire debate of the security of Trump. This is the second, I believe, the second incident, prominent incident that we are witnessing. And I know there'll be investigation into it, but ultimately it has sparked the row and the debate again on the gun rights.
Agufana Alfaya, good morning.
Good morning.
You're well?
Thank you so much.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Alfaya Agufana is the chairman, National Agenda Party of Kenya, also joining us. He's also aspiring to get something in Vihiga County.
To be the senator, Vihiga 2027.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You have to talk to Wakili Kithi here.
Yes, he's a good friend of
Welcome.
mine.
Birds of the same feathers. Okay, great. So let's just come back to that. So when you talk about, let's just come back to that again, Wakili. When you look at the gun violence in the US, it says that there are more deaths in the US, gun-related deaths in the US, more than anything else.
Yes.
That brings the aspect of liberty and the rights, enshrined in their constitution as it is. But this is a high-risk movement that is happening. As you said, this is a second one.
Yes.
Happening within a span of 1 year.
Yes.
For Trump.
Yes.
Yeah.
The gun industry is big in the US because it's an industry that basically, let me put it in ordinary parlance, that manufactures and sells guns.
Yes.
You'd want a market, and therefore any restrictions to the market is obligatory on part of the manufacturers to be able to fight it. Now, we have had assassinations in US that have killed presidents, all right? Because of individuals owning guns, period. And therefore, the gun assassinations or related assassinations against presidents and the continued killings in the population, man to man, and if you look at it that way, meaning private individuals to private individuals most of the time, it sparks the debate as to gun control. There's a lot of gun ownership in the US. You could buy it the way you would move to a supermarket in Kenya and buy a packet of unga, and you choose whatever type of gun and you get licensed. The way you get licensed here to drive a car is the same way you get licensed in the US, as easy as that. And therefore it's very normal. In fact, it's abnormal not to own a gun. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. Israel has been in a campaign to arm its citizens so that then they are protected, because there had been gun violence at the West Bank as against the Israelis. So one way in that context is that you arm the citizens against for self-defense, but against an aggression, and they will be able, therefore, to function in protecting themselves. So then, in terms of policing, each person is a police to the next, and to himself. The other way is to say, no, we must be equal to this. We don't need guns, because then the law mandates gun ownership and the right to protect citizens only as a repository of the nation. For instance, we have violence in this country, gun-related violence in bandit areas, where even the KDF has gone to pacify the places by disarming, and moratoriums have been issued, calling upon surrender of those guns. So you mop up those guns so that then the violence is controlled because there are no guns. That is the second way of looking at it. In the African context where we have had wars, when we send a peacekeeping force, one of the roles of peacekeeping force is to disarm bandits and those people with guns. So the one policy, obviously, especially in areas that have not had the knowledge to handle guns, is to disarm and ensure guns are not in private hands. The other way is to say, let everybody own a gun, and that we are disciplined enough, the society is disciplined enough to be able not to misuse the guns. And those two are all equal in terms of arguments, depending on probably the society itself, how then it's schooled in terms of arming and use of guns. The way we use our phones, the way you can use guns if you have discipline. Phones can be misused, and therefore there are laws, anti-cyber or mishandling of such gadgets. It's the same way. However, is that these phones don't kill. They probably have reputational issues and so on and so forth. The guns would have immediate effect that is disastrous. And that debate won't go away. Because remember, people who manufacture guns and ammunition want those guns to be bought. They want them. Business. So the business market has to continue to expand every time for profit. Yet here we understand that it's only the disciplined forces that have the right, probably the sanctity of use and possession of those weapons.
Agufana, when you look at this, we have got, there's a world aggression. Whatever is happening across the planet right now, this country affecting that, and there's even actually a ripple effect to that. And US is not, the US has been accused of so many, that the hand of US is firmly on some of these wars and attacks happening across the planet. Perhaps the superpower, as they call themselves, should Trump be a worried man? Because if you are being attacked by your own son in your own ground, where you would expect Secret Service to be almost everywhere, more than the attendees at that function, there must be a very big worry for the US.
I think, to me, I can describe what is happening to be kind of cognitive dissonance. You can rightfully see that this is a danger, but you still want to sustain it. The reason why that should be, you are left wondering why. In my view, and even from the original constitutionalism, the point was that government should be formed to protect and to run the affairs of the state. And that the government should be the only one that has the instruments of violence. And of course, then with all the arguments made, whereby maybe you are arming for the citizens to protect themselves, those rights also have limitations. When you look at it again from the global perspective, like the way you want to say, I mean, as you are asking about America, I think, of course, America also has gone rogue. If you can go to a state where you even remove a sitting president, you bring them to even your own country, to subject them to your own laws. Then you kind of exert pressure so that even you can gain access to the resources of that country. You go to another country like Iran, and you run over it without following protocols that are even established under the United Nations Charter. So as far as I'm concerned, it is a danger that the world should actually be able to address. And of course, as you talk about weapons and even weapons of mass destruction, then the elements of also nuclear armaments, whereby now you give even reason why some other countries should even pursue to have nuclear weapons, so that they can use it as a deterrence to make sure that the US does not just run over the world as it wishes. So I think this is a challenge. I believe there is at time and a point, yes, US has used force for the common good of the world. But I think more often than not, it uses it to enhance its own personal, its national interest.
Yes.
And this, of course, are the factors, when you look at even foreign affairs, the pillars. One of them, of course, is military, education, culture. And as such, as I look at it, America would want even to impose its own values on other nations, which is wrong. Yeah. So as a country, as Africa, I think we need to solidify our approach to, advancing our national, our continental interests, because as it is, it would appear like we are being run over and, taken advantage of.
Let's come back home, gentlemen. That's just an opener. So there is this case of what we saw yesterday in Kisumu. Let's talk about that. Wakili, you'll also talk to us the grassroots exercise that happened, UDA grassroots elections that happened across the country. You're part of it in Kilifi as well.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. What was amazing was the adoption of technology in probably at the exercise.
Yes.
The participants were voting directly into the gadgets, and therefore the results were almost immediate. The cumulative in terms of the numericals that eventually ensue from it. Two issues I think are emerging. One is regional contestations of the dominance of UDA and ODM is not going away. I think even as we see attempts to bring the two parties together, but the participants, basically the contestants who are called aspirants, go at each other more. And I think the political decibels from the aspirants probably override the national debate on probably the cooperation of the two political parties.
That's what they say for grounding to voting.
Yes, it's very different actually. The hostility is obvious because there's no peace, there's no handshake among the contestants from the divide because obviously everybody is looking for the same position. Then number two, and what is important was that I think there's a shift. The areas that are solidifying around I don't want to call it radicalism, but the youthful pursuit towards an identity, which is basically what is probably shaping up now, and a shift from what was probably Raila's face as the dominant character that shaped politics in certain places, and that shift and the want of Raila's voice is obviously probably changing certain scopes of the landscape, political landscape, and the equilibrium shifting will be that in some places, basically what will be Raila will be the youth. In some places, what was Raila is being replaced by probably what contemporary will be the leadership.
Has
today.
in some sense changed anything from your own assessment?
Yes, I think places like the coast was regarded as strongholds of ODM initially, not anymore, because ODM was ODM in terms of the political party. It was ODM in the character of Raila Odinga. Probably he was an emotion, a moving emotion in himself. Now, replacing an emotion, because emotion has an element of the privilege of ownership. Okay. So the population ownership was in the character and personality of Raila Odinga. What we see now is that there's an element of trying to package and subduing those emotions and moving them towards the character of ODM. But ODM is not an individual. It is many individuals, variegated in nature, because each has an opinion of their own. So they've not helped to galvanize the base. And therefore, what then promises to be the shape that will have the character of promise will probably what is in government. Remember, what is in government currently is not UDA. What is in government currently is UDA and ODM. And therefore, when you'd want to be beholden to ODM and yet what is in government that has the promise of delivery will be ODM and UDA, then probably heralds the shift. And therefore, the nature of the confusion in the ODM wing of government at the cost to be able to sustain an explanation as to why then the character dominance should be ODM, but the delivery of services is not ODM. It is the character of government that has a say. Obviously in government, UDA probably has more promise in terms of say and do as opposed to ODM. But that's a fiefdom of the cost. Remember, we have the different character of fiefdoms that are coming out in terms of character dominance of the political outfits that are coming out, like we saw in Kisumu.
Okay, I know, Alfayo, you are chairman of a National Agenda Party of Kenya, but it doesn't harm to talk about your opponent. He's talked about his opponent so strongly. But there is something we are picking, that nationally there's a coalition, there's an agreement, much as we can see a little bit of some friction. But kwa ground vitu ni tofauti kabisa. Because they say politics is local. Politics is local. They go head to head with each other, right?
Right, but first I would want to persuade us to move away from idolizing personality politics. The element of perceiving that democracy or politics is only in ODM if the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga was alive and running. But in my view, because of democratic space, even intra-party, within the party, I would expect to see aspirants, because they have definitely, if they are leaders, they have different visions.
But there is a power in a name.
Yes.
There is a power in a name.
Yes.
You would want us to divorce personalities and politics, but there is a power in a name.
But now, in this particular scenario, the big image of, rather the enigma, the party leader, is no more. And of course, there is succession. So we have to look at things in the context of the present, the now, and not the past. In my view, as it is, the party organs as an ODM is united as a one party. Because as I keep on saying, political parties are institutions. So therefore, when you look at it, are they processing the issues of, if it is parliamentary, if it is in terms of the policies they are coming up? Some people say, oh, why are they getting into a coalition? Even when the late Right Honorable was alive, he formed different coalitions. There was Okoa, there was NASA, there is presently there was Azimio, and they will be continued to have other relationships, like the way now they're trying to create a relationship with the Kenya Kwanza government. So in my view, the issue is, are they addressing their issues attached to their interests? Are they finding it easier to work with a particular wing within the political circles that can serve their interests or the national interests?
But then my question was, how things are so different qua ground? The national face is actually...
I agree with you, but when I look at what we call things are different on the ground, it is, my view is that it is actually very clear that Kenya needs a lot of civic education. We need a lot of political education. We need a lot of voter education. Because as it is, many Kenyans are now running away, talking about people like Sifuna, talking about people like Babu Owino, Caleb Amisi, you can name them. Yet these are the very people who have been in parliament for the last 2-3 terms. When Uhuru was taking loans without even any transparency, accountability, and the roles and functions of parliamentarians. Number 1 is representation. Number 2 is legislation. Number 3, budget approvals. And then 4, oversight. And then you come aggregating public interest. At what extent are they now discovering that they have a voice to address the issues on behalf of Kenyans? Yet we gave them a mandate. 2 terms, 3 terms, they've been in parliament. And they could not actually hold, democracy works when there are checks and balance. And when you have a parliament that actually sleeps, and when now we are going to an election, they come and start running around, cheating the common mwananchi, they are the ones who are going to save you. Yet they had an opportunity to say, because the biggest problem in Kenya right now is high national debt. Uhuru found when out of 100 shillings, only 18 shillings was going to pay debt. He left when 75 shillings is going to pay debt and only 25 shillings trickling down. So people need to tell the Kenyans the truth and let them not try to reinvent themselves as the saviors of Kenya. So in other words, when you analyze, when you say things are different on the ground, it is the responsibility of media to educate Kenyans not to follow these, can I call them maybe, I don't have a right word for them, but I think they are not leaders. They are not going to save Kenya.
Okay.
We need a new way of looking at things, be able to analyze and critically look at who is really offering themselves. And the platforms they are trying to form, are they really meant to save us or to save them?
And that's what you're planning as a National Agenda Party of Kenya?
Of course. That's why National Agenda, first of all, is the keyword agenda, is about issues. Number two, our party slogan, Utu ni bora kuliko kitu. We need to move away from this element of following people because they have given us handouts to mobilize, to run. We need to actually sit back and think as a nation. Because we need to reboot our software. Our party symbol is a teacher. So that's why even I come to the media quite often here, because I know KBC has a wide reach. And I would like Kenyans to understand that most of the people who pretend to be helping us could actually be our enemies. And that's why I think, again, the political scientists say that there are 5 factors that undermine democracy. Number 1 is negative ethnicity. If you look at even the formations, people are struggling to try and, put together some communities so that we can go in a certain direction. The second thing is weak institutions, where we are talking about like checks and balance. If Parliament was working, it's like a rubber stamp. We end up, as long as we do not look at these particular critical issues, even if we change people, we'll still be where we are.
All right. Look at it this way. Wakili, the grassroots elections, the exercise is done. So what are we looking at? Because at the end of the day, it is the party itself. I want to assume that once we have got candidates and the lineup is already here, we will see, as you normally say, a very big gap between UDA and ODM. It will never be a coalition as it is right now. It will be this versus that. Will it serve the national interest of the two parties?
Important question, which we can only grapple with, and I'm sure there'll be no answer to it. I'm very sure about that. Why you're asking it is exactly that. Because it's a question that searching an answer can only be a battle, can only be in the battle, the political battle. And let me put it this way. There's no political party that would want to get into a coalition and comes out as an undermined party and subdued.
Right.
No. So when you go to a coalition, it's because it's like a collabo, a musical collabo. If a musician gets into a collabo with another, the logic, not always, but the logic will be that it improves your stature and standing, and you gain. Okay? So in both, there should be a way to gain. Political gain. Now, 2 things about democracy. As my good friend was trying to explain, democracy is not perfect. And the folly of democracy is that democracy in itself prescribes divisiveness. So society must divide itself for democracy to thrive. Meaning, as an individual, once you exercise your democratic right to vote, you must yourself bias yourselves for and against certain individuals on an inclination that is completely unrelated to the tenets of democracy. It could be tribal, it could be religious, you could vote on account of gender, on anything. And the Constitution does not prescribe how you vote. It doesn't tell you vote on the following things. Neither is there anything compellable that tells you how to vote. And therefore, it is left onto an emotion. So the voting process is emotionalized on account of the fact that then it goes through a campaign process that takes into takes the character of emotionalizing the population for purposes of getting the most thin, let me say the most vulnerable side of the human population. So when you get, you get the vulnerable side of the society, logic steps out, it goes out of the window. Right now we have a chance to address issues and we can be logical. When it comes to the voting day or near voting day, you do not, you start looking yourself as what ethnic group do I come from? How do I benefit from this? And the selfishness there is also right. Remember, you have to survive in person as a society, and then the bigger picture comes. So at the time of voting, are you a Kenyan before you are an ethnic personality, or you are the ethnic personality before you become Kenyan? And remember, we all agree that politics is local. So you have to retreat to an ethnic origin.
Let's take a break. Omwami is here, and Omwami, have to serve you tea. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Very good. So let's take a break. We still have got plenty to talk about. So stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. All right.
Blessings, good people. Zion training a come on your way. Dandia Twende.
The very best of roots and culture.
Reggae and positive vibes.
Reggae in the bathroom, reggae in the bedroom.
Kila weno from 10 p.m. This is Inayad Extra. Nawaga very bad.
I'm a normal African.
I and I, Mali Moses, the positive warrior, alongside the baddest.
DJ D-Rage from the mix each and every time.
Nimbaya.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Unataka kuruka? Inasimagwa hivyo. Kwa nataka unipeleka hapa kwa stage. Lipa kwanza. Hautaiba, hii ni mpya.
Everything is sparkling clean. Arrange me.
Ndio hiyo sasa nitakulipa hiyo tarehe 7.
Ndio yangu nayo ilalangi.
Kwenda kabisa.
Nakulaji takula hivyo vibaya kama mtoto mdogo ya class. Tu hata mtoto mdogo ya class tu ukabatali.
Nani? Huu naye iko wapi?
Mokaka selisha rensen kitambo na akaenda.
Kama wanajeshi wale wa kukagua gwaride. Unajua hauzeeki kabisa.
Ulikuwa unataka nizeke unipeleke buchari gani?
Sasa hii mokaka hakuna. Takasi iko mzuri namna gani? Hii ni kazi gani unaweza ambia watu ni kazi?
Thank you very much for staying with us. Alfaya Gufana, who is the party chair of the National Agenda Party of Kenya, is here with us, as well as Wakili George Kithi is also a very good political analyst. His way of analyzing things is too technical, but we are with him. We are with him. So let's come back. Come back home. We saw what happened in Kisumu, Alfaya. There has been a lot of pressure of the other side of the Linda Mwananchi. Let's talk about that. Going to Kisumu, and they're making the entrance on the front page of the Daily Nation as well as the front page of the Standard. That had to make it on the front pages. Kisumu is quite central. And when you talk about Kisumu, you talk about so many things when it comes to the Luo Nyanza, the politics and all that. After the exit of Raila Odinga, the demise, we've not seen an energized kind of political rally happening in Kisumu and Kondele in particular. But this other side of the wing was, there has been a lot of debate that they're not going to make that entrance in Kisumu. That happened. Do we have a message to carry home? I'll come back to you as well.
Yeah,
the National Agenda Party.
First of all, congratulations for the fact that they were able to mobilize. But personally, I'm not interested in just the quantity of or the number of people who are present.
What's your interest?
My interest would be what was the content, what is the messaging, what actually are the policy issues they are trying to offer as a platform that makes them different from what we have or better than what we have. As I've said, in my view, this particular platform is led by people who are nothing else but con artists. Because in the real sense, as I've said, they've been earning a salary from Kenyans for the last 3 parliamentary sessions. And during the Uhuru regime, when people like Babu, Kaleba, Misi were in office, in parliament, supposedly, having the mandate to oversight the government, they failed to do it. So what good is it for them to come and complain or say that now we are having this platform so that because government is bad, we are the ones who can offer you solutions? I don't think it makes it's a logical statement for me, and therefore it actually tells me either
do you have any member of parliament?
Yes, I do. MP Fejara comes from my party. Abdi Ali Abdi. Yeah. So essentially. And of course for him is a first term, but I'm actually talking about, even Sifuna can exonerate him from that because he's also a first term senator. But I'm talking about that when we define, because if we want to solve a problem, we must define the problem. And I've said the biggest problem in Kenya right now, in terms of ranking, is high national debt. And it is that is making many Kenyans feel the pain economically. Because out of every 100 shillings, we have to use a lot of that money to pay for debt.
Yes.
And I said Uhuru found when only 18 shillings was going to pay debt, and left when 75 shillings is going to pay debt. And therefore, I'm actually saying that these parliamentarians, the ones that are being received by the people, actually I can describe it and say that maybe the people are suffering from the Stockholm syndrome.
No.
They are going to people who actually they are enemies. I don't know, Akili, if you can hear what I'm saying.
Because you're a chairman of a different political party.
No. You see, personally, in fact, whenever I come to the media, I try to have a bipartisan. I never even try to sell my party, by the way. I try as much to try and educate Kenyans to have a critical view of the people who they are actually embracing. Because if they do not get to hear these kind of things, that these people already had a responsibility.
That is a very smart way to decampaign your opponent.
No. They had a responsibility. It's not even decampaigning. You know, if you do a good job, we'll praise you. Like the way I keep on saying, I praise President Ruto for the good job that he's doing. Actually, people say Ruto has borrowed. I only say that Ruto is refinancing because most of Uhuru's debts had a maturity of 10 years. So what that means is that despite the fact that it is Uhuru that borrowed, it is Ruto now paying for that debt.
Is the political landscape in this country changing based on what we are seeing here? It's the front page. The likes of James Orenga have been there for years, and we know the kind of politics they play. Now we have got Babu Wino in the fold, Sifunas of this world.
It is very easy to play opposition politics. And that is what my friend, Governor Orengo is good at.
Right.
It is easier just to say that the government is the problem. The reasons why you have this problem is because of the government. But I would expect that now as a country, and that's actually, what you are saying is a very important, your question is very important. Are we as political parties maturing with time? Whereby we can actually go to issues, address issues. For instance, when President Ruto says that we must have affordable housing. This is something that all political parties were taken out by a branch of the Catholic called the Jesuits Brothers. And they say they do evidence-based development research. Utafiti wa maendeleo ulio na ushahidi. Na wakasema kwamba by 2050, 80% of Africans will be living in urban areas. Then they also said, if you look at majority of our population, those of us who are above 35, we're only 15%. The bulk of our population is between 18 and 35, the youth. They are 36%. These people are coming into the market. They need housing. You can imagine. If we are not able to deal with that issue, according to research, if we don't deal with the issues of land and land use policies, then we'll end up in a situation whereby most conflicts will be on land. So I think if somebody needs to be congratulated, it's not just because you can go and say tialala, or you can mobilize a mob, or you can say one term, because a good politician or a good leader should not just think about the next election. You should think about the next generation.
That is the nature of our politics.
But we can change it. We can change it. That's what I'm actually saying. We can actually, the theme of that meeting or training that we got from the Jesus brothers, the title was Issification of Kenyan Politics. And I actually congratulate UDA to be the first party to, seriously embrace the creation of issue-based politics, so that you can talk about SHA, so that you can talk about affordable housing, and you can, those kind of things. I think we need, especially the media, you have a responsibility to do voter education, to do civic education. If we do not actually tell our people that, the biggest problem in Kenya is that in 49 years, by the time Kibaki is going, he's carrying 15 years debt of Mzenjomo, is carrying the 24 years debt of Moi, and the 10 years of Kibaki, 49 years, it was 1.6. Uhuru's total deficit, and that's the big issue we need to keep on talking about. Uhuru's total deficit was 1.3. 1.6 plus 1.3 is supposed to be 2.9. The highest amount Uhuru was supposed to have left Kenya with was 2.9. Instead, he left us with 8.9, meaning there is a deficit that we do not know what he used it for. It was not approved by Parliament, and that's what I'm telling you. These people coming to talk to you, telling you that they can be your savior, actually they are conmen.
Okay.
Let's say political conmen.
Probably
it makes it better.
Wakili, is anything changing?
Yes.
Let's look at, there's that group. And we'll talk about voter registration shortly because it ends tomorrow, 28th. Is anything changing? Politics dynamic. The likes of, President William Ruto, they were in their youthful stages when they were growing up politically and growing and all that. But we are also seeing a certain group of people who we cannot say that the likes of Sifuna and Babu Owino is trying to appeal to. Are they raising the next generation who are going to be strong politically speaking? That's what I'm trying to say. Well, to oppose the government is easy because you don't have solutions. But for the government, there is just so much for the president in his diary to tackle. But how is the politics of this country changing? Simply put, for Mwananchi to understand.
Interesting question, but I'll tell you this. Probably from the experience that I have now, being in the circles of either handling or getting involved in politics. The political mobilization you saw in Kisumu, because they did just come, they were mobilized to come. The character you see is the final character of, the mobilization having come together to the crowd that we see. If President William Ruto went to Kisumu tomorrow, he would be mobilized the same way. You will see the same people, and the character will either be that or even bigger. Okay? The reason is the people have come to listen to them. Linda Mwananchi, they will come to listen to any other faction that comes. And it is the responsibility and the civic responsibility of any Kenyan to listen to the leadership, what this offers and what the other offers. So the fact that you've mobilized a crowd does not mean you have the votes. Believe you me, votes are not in rallies. Rallies is a marketing environment where you market towards populism or being popular. And it comes with a dance, it comes with songs, and at times no policy are sold there. For you to convince a Kenyan, and I'm saying this from experience, it is not the standout performance at a rally, unfortunately. You may get 2 or 3 or a certain percentage of that population your way, but not because you've danced your way. It is because you have said something that they've taken home. So that then the clarion name calling at rallies does not necessarily affect the ground. What happens is, and I'm saying this because I've seen what polling stations do. When you go to the polling station, the very basic unit, the fiefdom, the smallest fiefdom in the electioneering process, that is where you get to discuss issues. That's where a person will tell you about the toilet in a primary school, the leaking roof. That a person will tell you about the road. Those are the issues that will be basic and local to be addressed. They will not, but when the same person leaves the polling station, the village, the primary school, the secondary school, the church, and goes to a rally, that person first will be mobilized. He won't just leave. He will go having been mobilized through money or through a promise. Sometimes it's the curiosity. When you get to the rally, you will listen probably to what happens at that rally.
Yes.
You will participate, you will shout. And by the way, clarion calls are clarion calls. When you say habari zenu, everybody will shout back. Ni mwizi si mwizi, everybody shouts back. Because it's unison in nature. It doesn't mean when you live there, then you've packaged the other person as mwizi. Forget it. You have to go down and explain in probably in the character of what a debate or a town hall will be, and say, why is the person a thief? Why is the person not doing what he should do? And therefore, what I want to say is rallies are good because they emotionalize, they bring the character of emotions out of the people. But again, most importantly is because you said we'll discuss about voter registration. By the way, curiosity, the people who come because they're curious of those rallies, if you're going to call out and say, now how many votes do I have there? A lot of them don't even have votes. A lot of them don't have votes. Votes are not rallies. Votes are what then you package individually and numerically by getting into the very little units at the stations, at the villages. And let me put it this way. Eventually this coalesces into a character that forms what you call a formidable force that becomes a movement. Hitler was a character that mobilized in the same way. Eventually, what happens to him is he was elected because he became a wave.
Very good.
That's how a wave is born.
That's what I wanted to ask you. That's what I want to ask you.
Yes.
There's a very big difference now when you talk about issue-based politics. And I totally agree with you. You have to give me something to carry home. But the common mwananchi in Kenya loves, the mobilization and the euphoria that comes with the political rally. At what point do you have to sit this person down and say, guys, we are done with the political rally, let's have a town hall, let's talk about issues? Are we in a position as a country to start coming and concentrate and talk about issue-based? Because you've talked about it, Alfayo, but the political rally will still have to work some magic for them.
Now, he talked about the fall of democracy. The principle of democracies, the pillars of democracies, as it were, for those who fashion democracy, one of the issues is they're beholden to the literacy of the society to be able to discern the good and the bad. But an illiterate society, not necessarily a school society, those are two different things. Even a professor can be literate politically. You know why? Because once you're emotionalized and you say something like, and I must probably
that's what politicians use.
Yes, and you must say like...
They pump in emotions.
Put it this way. We are voting in a new constitution in 2010, right?
Right.
A professor tells me, and this is an example I'm giving, kama baba ameisoma, I don't have to read it, a professor. You see, the illiteracy is different from schooling. So he can read it for himself, but he's saying, if he has said it politically, pronounce himself that it's good, then it's good because a politician has said it's good. And because I look at the politician from an emotive point of view, right? And therefore, as to the question of the movement, forming a movement towards execution of usurping power, okay? Because that's what politics is. The actual debate is the actual debate in democracy is in the small units and the fiefdoms that we go, or you have to go and debate with the people in the small villages. But in the folly of democracy, if then you emotionalize the society, they will miss the detail. Let me give you an example. There are many complaints, and I know that because I have colleagues there, I have friends there. There are many complaints against Orengo in his backyard as governor, right? He has not performed, and people say so. Of course, that's political opinion from me because of what I heard people say, but that will be swallowed in the whole movement of he's then using the national platform to be able to cure what will be scrutiny at the village scrutiny and the smallest unit scrutiny that, for instance, there are no roads, there are no schools, there's no medicine, and there's this dysfunction of the unit, the devolved unit where he leads of Siaya. That you stop scrutinizing because then he comes out as big, and then he comes as the emotion of the character of this movement, the political movement of big rallies. And that is the folly of democracy.
And that's a very powerful point you made, Wakili. And of course, going back
that's the fall of democracy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And going back to your original question as to whether politics is changing. Because when you look at even the masses and even our politicians, they're making us believe there is change. But in actual sense, most of our people, you know, the bigger things that actually affect our life, I keep on saying, are devolved. The bigger issues that affect our lives are devolved. Whether you are looking at health, whether you are looking at agriculture, which is food, whether you are looking at issues of the youth, they are devolved. If you are looking at trade, manufacturing is devolved. So in my view, as things change, the more they remain the same. In my view, our politicians and even the voters have not actually been able to understand the power they have, and especially at the county level, where we need to actually be able to address particular issues. Like housing is a devolved function. Water is a devolved function. Culture is a devolved function. But when you go to all our counties, they are not doing anything. Like I keep on saying, and I use my county as an example, and that's actually the reason why I would like to run as senator for Vihiga. Because for the last 15 years, by the end of the 15 years, we will have received approximately 85 billion. But you cannot go to the ground and actually say, this is a legacy project that was achieved in the first term of devolution, or this is, on the second term, this is other legacy project. So we find that we have these personality cults. As this particular, for instance, the platform for Linda Mwananchi is basically trying to create another cult different from Raila, but not really different, just using the same type of populist kind of politics.
It's a continuation of where Baba left.
Yeah. Okay. So in my view, we need to look at it from a level whereby even, first of all, our passion should no longer just focus at the center. Because that's why devolution was there. We should actually be able to say, where I come from as a professional, can I be able to organize a group that can go to do public participation when my governor is trying to discuss how they are going to allocate resources. And as long as we do not address these particular issues, we'll end up with money being stolen, and the governors have a lot of money in their pockets. Some of them come to these Somali money transfer agents, and they take money abroad without even following the I don't know, they call them dashi or something, whereby they are able to convert into some of the currencies into a way that even cannot be stressed by the state.
Yeah.
So in my view, those are the issues that we really need to look at.
Okay.
But probably, if you may,
okay.
Are we missing the point as Kenyans? Why did Baba fight for devolution? Because he fought for democracy. Then he fought for devolution. That was his second, probably liberation, if I have to put it that way. He fought for democracy and then devolution, because then we needed to remove resources from a centralized, probably management into a decentralized management in devolution, where the resources are managed by the people themselves. What's probably confounding here is when a person is running a devolved unit, where lots of the issues that have been devolved are within the his management, like a governor. Then you come to the national platform and accuse the president and the government of not doing what you are supposed to do at the devolved, of hunger. And agriculture is devolved. When you accuse of lack of housing, lack of infrastructure, when you receive billions of money, where you're supposed to administer change at the village when you're governor, but then you want to confound that by coming to the national space and accuse the national government of not doing what a devolved unit will do. You know, when you do that, then you are being a conman, like he's put it this way.
Can I ask you a question based on what you said? So does it mean that Wanjiku is not putting the leaders on the hot seat?
Yes, especially the governors. You know, a substantial part of life of Wanjiku is local. With your governor, with your local leadership. That's how we designed the constitution. We wanted leadership to be localized. A governor is a localized individual in Taveta, in Kilifi, in Vihiga, whatever it is.
Let's take an example of SHA. In my county, they received last month, they received 1.4 billion from SHA. You get that? Yeah. Yet, let me put it this way, health is devolved, so counties have to run matters health. The insurance fund collects money, the SHA is supposed to offer services. But as hospitals are run, like here in this county, I'm happy about the governor. He's made almost every hospital to look like a parastatal. They have a CEO, they are supposed to have deliverables. But when they receive, they've offered services. And after offering services, they will invoice SHA. And then SHA needs to give them the money. But when they receive that money, what are they supposed to do with it? To look back in their health facility and see, are the staff motivated? Equipments and services being offered correctly? But we see now everybody, even as we speak, they're just looking at the top. Yet, in my view, people must go to the counties. I encourage every Kenyan, go to your governor, go to the executive committee member in charge of health and tell them, let's walk to our health facilities. Democracy cannot thrive unless there is eternal vigilance.
Thank you. There is an internal vigilance. Yes. That calls for a break.
Thank you.
Director says so. We'll be right back. Wakili, you are saying something. I'll give you a minute to finalize. Okay. Let's talk about the voter registration. IEB says that they're doing very well. 1.5, 1.8 thereabout. That's around 75%. Their target was 2.5 million. Let's talk about that when we come back after this break. Stay with us.
Blessings, good people. Zion training a come on your way. Dandia Twende.
The very best of roots and culture.
Reggae and positive vibes.
Reggae in the bathroom, reggae in the bedroom.
Kila weno from 10 p.m. This is Inayad Extra. Na uwaga very bad.
I'm a normal African.
With I and I, Mali Moses, the positive warrior, alongside the baddest.
DJ D-Rage from the mix each and every time.
Nimbaya.
Is that for sale? The gray one?
Yes, that's for sale.
Bring it.
Sure, sir.
My budget's about...
Why are you still moody?
I bought you in a purse.
Are you pretending to be rich or just insane, huh? Where'd you get that kind of money?
I'll work hard and buy you a leather one.
Don't Don't buy expensive stuff for me. You like?
There was a budget for
Okay, Director ameamua kufanya ile kitu. Okay, welcome back. Okay, to the final stretch of this discussion, quite interesting one. It's 8 a.m. If you're just joining us, you've missed so much. But let's do this. Wakili, let's come back. There's a question I asked you. The most important person here is the employer, who is Wanjiku.
Yes.
In the next couple of months, Wanjiku will go and employ somebody to represent her.
Yes.
But at some point, Wanjiku will just forget about her duty and say, because Kithi have given you the seat, you're the senator of Kilifi, and Alfayo, you're the senator of Vihiga, go do your thing. And you give me your report card after 5 years. I shall have forgotten about my civic responsibility and given you all the powers to your hands.
You see, I agree with you. Article 1, when we put Article 1 on the power of the people and say the sovereign power is domiciled with the people, it is a very big responsibility on Wanjiku that everything that happens concerns me, and I have a duty that my voice be heard on the same.
First.
And that voice is not abandoning responsibility just because you voted. Responsibility does not end with voting. It starts with voting. The political mobilization, the jingoism that goes through, the chest stamping that we hear leadership do when they are campaigning is basically a debate, a space of debate where people market themselves for Wanjiku to be able to employ them.
But that is the thing
when
that
that
Wanjiku
happens,
does not understand.
Yes, when you employ a person like a house girl or a house help in your house, she doesn't wake up at the time she wants. She doesn't do the things that she wants. You address her every day, persistently, consistently, insistently, because you want the best outcome from that one. Now, the problem here is Kenyans are imbued in the infamy of what I will call, you see, collective versus personal, okay? When something is collective, it's for everyone. It ceases being personal. So I don't give it much attention.
Yes.
Because I think everybody is for everyone. It's as if because it is public, it doesn't concern me. Because it is private, my house is leaking, I need to fix it. The hospital is leaking, I don't have any business to do with it. I don't have to raise my voice on it because it's a hospital for the public.
Yeah.
Okay? But if it is my house that is leaking, I'm gonna fix it the next minute because I suffer personally. But when I go to hospital, when I'm sick and the hospital is leaking, it's only probably one iron sheet to be replaced.
Yeah.
I have no business raising it because everybody suffers like I do. All right? So the folly here is in the character of a Kenyan post the exercise of putting leadership into place within the context of a voting process. Once you voted in, now you start again your work. And Article 1, you continue to police, you continue to oversight. In fact, what those, put it this way, we send messengers to Parliament. Those are messengers. We tell them we can't all from Kiambu go to Parliament, but we send you there, and when you get there, you do what we want to do. We can't
and what
all,
you promised.
No, it's not promised. For Parliament, it's not even promised. It is go there to oversight on government. It is then to pull resources to us. It is representation. Representation does not mean it's what I say. It is the brain, mind, soul, spirit of the people that you represent yourself. So when you speak in Parliament, you do not speak as yourself. You speak because the people are speaking through the words that you put at the House.
Very good.
Now, when you do that, unfortunately, you confuse your the position you hold as a power outplay as opposed to a display of the character of the people that you represent.
Are you speaking to Wanjiku directly? Because it seems you are talking to Wanjiku. You are reminding Wanjiku.
And I think the Kenyan is the problem. The Kenyan is the problem. A Kenyan must wake up and realize that the Kenyan is so powerful, and Article 1, that constitution gives every power to Wanjiku. It is not about just saying the president has not done.
Yeah.
It is about everything that happens in government, and especially when it affects you immediately. And I say this, governors, the executive at the county levels, that's our weakest link. I used to say parliament was, but now I have seen that the governors are the ones that do not take into consideration any of Wanjiku's aspirations as to what good leadership is. Does a Kenyan know what good leadership is?
It seems that we've
Does a Kenyan know what good leadership is?
It seems we've just moved from the departure from what the devolution was supposed to be and the real intention. Gentlemen, let's talk about this. I only have like a few minutes to
go. Before you go, I think as Kenyans, in the character in which we associate ourselves, we are moving from the decentralization that we enjoy and centralizing everything back to national government, because everything is, we had hospitality to jenge hospitality.
It's moving so smoothly back to where it's supposed.
We are centralizing everything as opposed to the devolution, the spirit of devolution.
To add on, to conclude on what Wakili is saying, I agree with him 100% that there is a disconnect. The Kenyans are still stuck in the old constitutional order. Under the 2010 constitution, we should focus heavily on devolution. But in addition to what also he said, there is this position, like in the example of Edward Ouko, the former Auditor General, trying to say that money is lost. But as sitting president then, going ahead to castigate him in public and saying, wewe unaandika vitu kwa magazeti, kwani magazeti ni ya nini? Si magazeti ni ya kufunga nyama. I walked and surveyed across, where people sit and talk. It was trending for almost 2 weeks that Uhuru ameambia watu ule mzee ati magazeti ya kufunga nyama. What I'm trying to say is that Kenyans have not understood that public resources is your money. And if especially it is a loan that has been stolen or embezzled, and you go on clapping for a person as if you are cheering him, you will have to pay for it through taxes. So that's a very important thing Kenyans need to recognize. Yeah.
Okay, I want us to hit this. Finally, Director is trying to say something. So we are coming to the close of the listing. That is tomorrow, 28th. And IBC, according to them, 3-4 days ago, the latest update was that they did 1.8 million out of a target of 2.5, which again was a good move. But between 4 days ago and till tomorrow, probably we shall have hit 2 million mark, 2 point plus. That's a good point to start for Ethicon and his team, just being in office for just a few months for killing.
Well, I don't think the focus is on the performance of IBC. IBC has a budget, that money will be expended anyway. I think from the emotions that we saw in the Gen Z protests, from how they've been basically organizing themselves, we thought it was going to be almost like a revolution. They were going to register in numbers, record numbers, for purposes of bringing change, purpose of expressing themselves, and the voice in the vote. The disappointing part is that, and I say this because we have today, I personally probably have experience where youth have to be ferried, sometimes paid to go
to register.
And register. Like, why am I spending my day on a line or at a line to register as a voter? And you pay me for it. If you want me to register, then pay for it. It's sad because that voice of the youthful voice that we had was one of the most dominant, independent voices that we've seen in this country. That ought to have been transformed. It transformed into a formidable potential that can bring the change and the voice that we need in this country. And it's very unpatriotic not to register yourself as a voter. It's very unpatriotic not to even participate in the next general election. And therefore what it means is, yes, The platform can be provided by whatever institution for you to register yourself.
Okay.
IEBC have provided that. The question is the inertia, the mental disconnect between leadership and character, the outcome of what leadership in 5 years will be, and the voter registration now is probably not being appreciated by the population.
I have to cut you short.
Thank you.
We have to pay some bills, you know what I'm saying. I want us to go to the Eden Convention Center here in Nairobi, where there is Connected Africa Summit 2026 happening right now, and Ben Troy is standing by. But before then, I have to thank you, gentlemen. Wakili George Kithi, thank you so much for joining us, and Alfayo Agufana, who is the chairperson of the National Agenda Party of Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us. But right about now, let's just cross there and see what is happening. Connected Africa Summit. Ben Troy, good morning. It's a summit that is coming at a time when Africa is calling one another so that they can come together. One of them is, remember when the president had a meeting last week, so that we can also have our own pool. The big one is the fuel and oil energy. Ben.
Well, thank you so much, GMK crew, back in studio. And as you have rightly put it, yes, we are here at the convention, where it's playing host to 2026 Connected Africa Summit, the summit that brings together all the African players in the digital space, just to even look at how we are going and how exactly are we going to improve our economies, and especially when it comes to digital technology. This event, which has been there for the last 15 years, is organized by the ICT authority here in the country and also other stakeholders in the African players, not forgetting the key players who are also the industry players, including the policy makers. But because of the interest of time, allow me just to rope in the ICT authority CEO just to give us a glimpse of what exactly to expect in the next 4 days, where we're expecting dignitaries from all over the continent just to look at exactly how we are going. And especially now that, kindly introduce yourself. We are in GMK Kenya. You're live on KBC Channel 1. And tell us exactly why is the 2026 convention very, very important. We've seen that we are uniting Africans' innovation for an inclusive digital market as the theme for this meeting.
Thank you. My name is Jesse Maruti Kiveo, the CEO for ICT Authority. As you have said, the theme for this convention is uniting Africa innovations for an inclusive digital market. So we are bringing players across Africa, our partners, our leaders, just to unify our technologies, to open the space for technology. So the digital space has a lot of potential. How do we harness this to create opportunities for young Kenyans? So we are here to converge, to partner, and to see how best can we unlock Africa's potential.
And what will be the take home? I know very well many African countries are adopting AI, and there's the issue of cybersecurity. What will be the take home for this year?
This year we are moving from dialogue to implementation. So we are building trust systems. So as we embed AI in our operations, how do we take the next level? So we are looking at this and see how the best can take into front the next steps.
Yes. Who are we expecting? And some of the policy makers, we saw from building from the 2024 and 2025, we have seen that this year is a little bit different because we are now measuring the deliverables, as opposed to the 2024 and 2025, where we were looking and trying to consolidate our ICT potential.
So we have global leaders across Africa, our partners, policymakers, who are going to move from dialogue to implementations. So from the last year's dialogue, we are now moving to reality, implement the issues we are creating so that we can build a digital future for Africa.
The cybersecurity space, and especially now Africa has adopted it, how important is it in the Connected Africa Summit 2026?
It's critical for us. As people converge here, cybersecurity is a key topic that's going to be discussed. So we're going to see views, we're going to see how people are going to build trusted systems. So as people come, we're expecting more and more around AI, around trust, so that they can have a potential for our youth. Yes.
And Kenya has been the East African hub in terms of technology. Where are we in the continent, and what exactly are we pushing here as a country at the Connected Africa Summit?
So Kenya's position is a digital hub for Africa. what we are pushing is integrations. How do we integrate as a unified Africa to harness the potential of the digital space? So we're looking at integrations, cross-border trade. How do we open up the borders? How do we open up the digital space for youth and create opportunity for investment? Just not only Kenya, but across Africa.
And the ICT Cabinet Secretary, William Kabogo, has been on record as emphasizing how important Kenya is to position itself, not only here in the continent, but also abroad. How where are we as ICT authority?
We are doing very well with our partners. So as you understand, Kenya acts as a hub for this part of Africa. So with opening up our space, our digital space to the rest of Africa, the rest of the continent, we find ourselves positioned very well in the coming few years.
Finally, before I let you go, what should Kenyans, what should all the global players that are going to be in this convention for the next 4 days expect?
We expect partnerships, we expect policy harmonizations, we expect interoperability of systems so that we can build a unified Africa in terms of digital space.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
For making time for Channel One.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Karibu.
Well, as you have rightly heard from the ICT CEO, is that we are trying to harmonize the ICT potential, and especially now that in Kenya, we are, judging by the East Africa region and also at the African market, is that we are also not only regional players, we are also the continental players. And this convention, and allow me just to point out 2 or 3 things that are supposed to be looked at, just like has been pointed out, is that the key milestone with the official launch of the Connected Africa Secretariat, which will be chaired by Kenya to ensure long-term accountability and continuity for digital projects across the continent. We'll be here for the next 4 days or so just to try and put into perspective matters ICT and also the digital space, which not only has a number of challenges, including cybersecurity, but we're going to see how we are going to harmonize all that in one ecosystem as a continent. Back to you in studio.
Well, thank you so much, Ben Troy, back in Nairobi. You've mentioned it right regarding actually the Connected Africa Summit 2026 that will be underway in Nairobi for the next 4 days. I know that is a space that is bringing together players within the digital space. But then away from that particular convention, we are back in Kisumu actually for the Western Spectrum segment within the Good Morning Kenya show. And this morning we want to talk about something so critical, especially at this moment. That is the voter registration. We've had the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise for the last 27 days or so, an exercise that comes to an end tomorrow. What do the numbers look like? What do the figures look like? And what more do we need to do actually to ensure that we drive up these numbers? And that is conversation I'm going to have here from Kisumu City, rather. My name is Wycliffe Okech, and of course I have guests to help us understand this particular, rather have this conversation going forward. Just immediate to me here is Engineer Frederick ZB Owino. That is, he's a practicing engineer, of course, and he has aspect for politics, and he's a political strategist and analyst joining us this morning for this conversation. And also we have Mr. Bernard Adhiambo Ogua. Is a systems and a data expert, or you can say is an IT consultant. Talking about the numbers, let me just give you a minute actually to say hello to our viewers before we dive deep into this.
Good morning, Kenya. My name, as Wycliffe has said, is Engineer Frederick Zedbiowino. I do engineering, I do project management, but also very much interested in politics and what's going on in our country and the figures and the numbers. All right. So then we are here basically to discuss what has happened in the last 27 days and what do you foresee going forward. Bernard?
Thank you very much, Wycliffe. My name is Bernard Adhiambo Ogua. On a personal space, I'm in manufacturing in the food value chain, but I'm taking keen interest in what is happening in our region, especially in terms of voter and ID registration mobilization.
All right.
In terms of interest and where build capacity is in terms of systems and data. And we are trying our level best to integrate technology and data analytics into mobilizing numbers both for ID registration and for voter mobilization.
Right there, we'll get into it. And then to viewers who are catching us this morning, apart from being live on KBC Channel 1, we can also catch this conversation on our sister station that is broadcasting in Dolo language, that is the Mayenga FM. You can catch that conversation on Mayenga FM digital platforms yet. And now just diving right deep into this conversation, gentlemen, you're part of a caucus, you're part of a group of professionals that has come together actually to ensure that the Lakeside Nyanza region is not left behind when we talk about voter registration. Tell us, just briefly, in 1 minute, I'll ask you, Bernard, to tell us, this group, how many members, I mean, who are coming together in this group?
Thank you so much, Wycliffe. What is happening that we have been a group of friends for many years. We have been in friendship that spans over 2 decades. Most of us met in high school. Some of us, again, we cemented the friendship in the university. And we have also expanded the group to like-minded individuals. And we've been doing quite a lot of things quietly within our region, supporting needy students, doing a bit of community work, going for fundraising. But at this particular time, we saw the ID registration last year going on, and we thought as members of this community we can play a role, because from where we sit we appreciate and understand the importance of having the right numbers. Therefore we came together as a team of 21 individuals. We have membership. Some of our members are outside the continent, but they still participate. So we started by mobilizing individual resources to try to participate, to help our people mobilize the IDs. And then the issue of mass voter registration came in about a month ago. And we dived in directly because it found when you already built some momentum. So the team is 21, and out of the 21, 17 are engineers. And we are trying to use their engineering expertise to leverage on it, to integrate technology into voter mobilization.
Yes.
This group, especially when we focused this discussion on voter registration, what milestones have you achieved as a group so far?
What happened is that, as Bernard has explained, we started with the ID registration because we realized that we have adults in the 4 counties who don't have IDs. And then we are now looking at the numbers because we believe in numbers. So when it started, the momentum in Migori, Mapei, Siaya, and Kisumu was very slow. Actually, if you give you the graph of the statistics, then when now interventions came through connections with the different organizations, then the numbers today, if we speak as at yesterday, the numbers are much improved. When we started, all the 4 counties were below the national average. But now all the countries are above the national average. Is that it?
That's true.
Still driving this into numbers, because we want to speak about numbers to know where we lie, or where the region lies within this aspect of voter registration. It's been over around 27 days now, because we know the exercise ends tomorrow. But then the other day, when we had a briefing with the regional commissioner for Nyanza, she mentioned something to do with over 80,000 IDs that are lying idle and collected at various points, and this is derailing this exercise very big time. What do the numbers look like? Because that was a conversation we had last week.
Thank you very much, Wycliffe, once again. What I want to, before I answer even your question, I want to emphasize something that was missing, is that we were doing a further way of mobilizing our people. What have we brought on board? We have brought on board research. So before we even go out to look for the numbers, we do substantive research to establish where the numbers are. Like for the past, you'll get a road show being done, a road show passing through Kibuye, for example. Here the people in Kibuye already have IDs and voters registration. But what you're bringing on board is preliminary research being done before the exercise. So that when you leave and you're going to Kaboch, you know that specifically this place in Kaboch has this number of people that need to be registered. And that has really helped. So what the regional commissioner said is reality, that we have over 80,000 IDs that are uncollected. So we are working with multi-sectoral approach. We are working with Ngao. We are working National Bureau of Registration, NRB. And these IDs, the model that you have taken, is that they have been distributed to chiefs and assistant chiefs. Because chiefs and assistant chiefs know the people, they know the homes. And that has really helped us to yield the numbers this week. You realize that the first 21 days before we met, we did 100,000. 21 days. But this week, from Monday to yesterday, additional over 62,000. So if in less than a week, 62,000 can be achieved. Over 62,000. And in 21 days, we achieved 100,000. Then it means that the interventions that we're doing, the scientific models, our data-driven models, are bearing more fruits. Like, for example, we realize that the roadshow is not adding value. You just entertain people and play music. At the end of the day, you have only 2 registrations. But when you go through the Ngao system, the sub-chief goes to the villages and brings out people without voters card, without IDs. Then you yield more results. So we are changing the model, and it is achieving great results. But fundamentally, out of our research and data mining, what has significantly surprised us is that we have over 1,270 individuals from 4 counties. 1.2 million. Actually, 1,270,000. Let me just emphasize the number. 1,270,000 adult Luos with IDs and don't have voters card. This is shocking. This is a number that other community will come with to the table to negotiate. Yet we are leaving it out there. So we have established models of mopping up the entire 1.27 million first. And then from our research that we did earlier, before this exercise, and we did scientific research down from the Nyumba Kumi. That research established for us, Wycliffe, that we have close to 800 to 1 million adult Luos, members of Luo communities, who don't have IDs. They are at the age of 18, some are even 30-something, and they don't have IDs. So over and above the 1.27 million with IDs that don't have voters card, we have another about 1 million, Bob. 1 million people. 1 million Luos. You know, I talk a lot of Bob sometimes. Yes. Yes. So we have about 1 million adult members of Luo community who have reached the age of 18 and don't have IDs.
And they just so comfortable.
Yes.
You have to mention something about this.
I want to just talk about what Bernard has said. I want to emphasize some facts about this thing. You know, we're looking at 2022, we're at 2.2 million. Today we are looking at, if the numbers work well, we'll be at 4.7 million. If you look at the people from the region, the region, and then we look at our people out there. They're in Mombasa, they're in Nairobi, they're in Kiambu. Those garages, our people are there. They're in Kericho, we are picking tea there. So the total number is about 4.7 million. So I mean, if you go to the negotiation table, and like I said the other day, the point is that every community is allowed to negotiate. But when you come to the negotiation table, you must have some facts, and you must have some figures. So it means 2022, we are coming to negotiate with 2.2. If we do what we are doing and succeed, then 2027 we are going to next year, because we are not doing this to support any individual or anything. We are doing this to help our people establish their numbers and be able to sit on the table. So if we succeed in what we are trying to drive, we're talking about 4.7 million people, and that's a big negotiation. In our research, there's always that talk out there that Luo people don't come out to vote. But if you do research in the entire 4 counties, you tell it.
That's the point that is coming up next, because first we have we get the IDs, register, and then casting that vote is one thing, another thing altogether. We're getting just in there. 1.27 million people have IDs but do not have voters card. Why do you think this is happening?
I think what has basically is about education, civic education. People have not been enlightened on the importance of having that vote. Because as a Kenyan adult, the power you have in terms of complaining or doing anything else is in the ballot. Because I can't say that my MC is not working, my MP is not working, my governor is not working, my senator is not working. When yourself, you're an adult and you don't have the power to vote somebody or remove somebody. Because then once we give these people this power, and we are able to explain to the electorate that that power is what will make you determine leadership, then that will become important. And it's civic education, basic civic education.
If you allow me also to chip in that question that Engineer ZBA has really dissected, is that the question of us that why is it that over 1.27 million adult members of local communities have IDs and are not registered as voters. The shocking information out of research you've done, if you filter these numbers and names, is that out of the 1.27 million, 1,017,000 did not take votes to vote in 2022. So they had IDs and they did not register as voters. 1,017,000 out of the total 1.27 that we're talking about. So you can imagine that in the last election, we had very good turnout as a community compared to others. Not the best, 71%, which was above national average. All our counties were above 10%, all the 4 counties.
The top 10.
Were in the top 10. And you can imagine that a total of 1,018,000 members of these communities who had IDs did not register to vote. Therefore, fundamentally, I think the model that has been used in the past is what has not worked for us. You realize that our politics as a community since 1992 has been a mass movement. And mass movement, it's very beautiful. It builds momentum. It builds euphoria. But it leaves some things that are not achieved. Because mass movement sometimes we lack structures. We lack like what you're doing currently. You can't bring it in a mass movement. Because you end up leaving people without knowing. Because the mass movement, even people who are not having IDs come to support the movement. But we are changing the narrative. We are saying that even as we build momentum, we need to have structures to look at the nitty-gritties of what it takes to be strong at the negotiation table.
Still talking about that aspect of statistics or numbers ahead of 2027, by the time we get there, what do you project will be the total voter registration for the Lakeside Nyanza region? And still on that, this enhanced continuous voter registration exercise, you're mapping, where do you place the numbers so far?
And I'll allow engineer also to come in on this question, because this is a fundamental area of discussion. Is that one, if we look at the numbers and from our extrapolation, and we're talking about people who speak, eat, drink, data and analytics. You throw to them data now and they do for you scientific, verifiable extrapolation. Is that as at last election in 2022, we had about 2.2 million members of these communities from the 4 counties that were registered voters, 2.2 million. We are currently looking at the data that we have of 1.2 million and 70,000 of people with IDs and without voters card. If you add 1.2 million to 2.2, we are sitting at 3.4. Then we have another 1 million members of the Luo community who have hit 18 years of age but do not have IDs. If we mop that and bring it to the table, we hit 4.4 million. Then we are thinking of members of this community who live in Kiambu, for example, people in the Juakali sector. The members of this community are known to be some of the best mechanics, and a lot of them are in Kiambu. They are voters there.
Yes.
We have a lot of them in Kericho who are doing the tea plucking. We have a lot of them in Mombasa. We have members of this community who went to Mombasa 10 years ago and have never come back. So we have a lot of them in Nairobi. So we are looking at mopping the numbers of members of this community who are in other counties, and our target is about 0.3 million. So if you add 0.3 to 4.4 million, it is possible. If we do concerted effort, members of the political class, community leaders, teachers are very fundamental. Teachers are very fundamental. Teachers are community leaders wherever they are. We involve teachers in this crusade and members of 4th Estate. And we want to take this opportunity to thank you for hosting us today, because this is the voice we need. So with these numbers, we are able to have 4.7 million strong members of Luo community by the time we're hitting 2027. Yes. And this is a number that if you go with the negotiation table, then you can have a better piece of the pie.
Right now, the IEBC, I have a question for Zedwig, but still, I'll ask you this. Yes. Still talking about, because right now, the continuous enhanced continuous voter registration exercise. The IEBC, the electoral body, had projected about 2.5 million as the target for this particular 1 month exercise, right? Within the Lakeside Nyanza, how many have registered within this window?
Thank you very much. We were given a target as the four counties of interest that I'm talking about, of Migori, Homa Bay, Kisumu and Siaya, a target of 246,000. Out of 246,000, we have managed as at the data. I wanted to give the data as yesterday, but allow me to do that as Saturday. We have done 162,000 as at end of Saturday. So we're sitting at about 62% as at end of Saturday. We have data for yesterday, which I don't want to speak to because it has not been verified yet. Yes, because it's good to give verified information. And the shocking news, which I want to again emphasize on, that out of the 162,000 that we have registered in the Lakeside region, 100,000 was registered in 21 days. 62,000 was registered in 6 days. I don't know if you're getting it. So had we done the kind of effort we have done in the last 6 days, then I'm telling you we would have done more than 300,000. So this region has potential to achieve more than 200% of the target that we're given of 246,000. Okay. So one of the things that is going on after tomorrow's closure, after closure we'll do analytics, look at the data, look at what worked well that we can replicate, what did we not get right that we eliminate, then continue with what we call continuous voter registration. Yes. And I'm telling you that is the best moment because things are more subtle. It's easy to put better strategy. It's easy to plan. There's no pressure of daily and weekly report from IBC. And that's the time we want to mop all these numbers that we're talking about.
You're very right. You're very right, but because what we've had for the past 1 month or so, that is what we call the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise. Yes. But even as that concludes tomorrow, that's not the end of it. Exactly. This exercise will continue continuously all the way to the as we head up for the 2027. And now it will not be happening only that it won't be enhanced at the ward level. It will be happening at the constituency level. And so for the viewers who may not, we don't encourage you actually to miss out on this. But in case you don't manage to enlist yourself as a voter in this window, this exercise continues. ZB.
Yes.
What is causing apathy, especially in Lakeside Nyanza?
We have a number of reports that we have gotten from what we are doing. Because as I was told you the other day, we have a call center. Sure. And we are trying to reach these people and talk to them. They give a number of reasons. Number one is the actual lack of civic education. So there are people who you call and then they call back and say, hey, I've now registered. I'm now registered voter. That's positive. But there are people who have nostalgic about Baba. Okay. So they tell you, tomorrow, are you going to wake up Baba? If you promise me you'll wake up Baba, then I have a reason to vote, to register. Because for him, his motivation was Baba. Raila Odinga. Yes, the late. So, but that's something. So when we make that call and when we talk with the assistant chiefs and Langukumi and everybody, we want them. We must wake up, and our beloved Baba is normal, but life has to continue. Right. Our children have to go to school. We have to feed our parents. We have to feed our children. The community must continue. So we must align ourselves with the fact that life continues and life goes on. But just to go back to the numbers a bit. You know, when he said that our turnout is not the problem, of course, we want a better turnout. But we're at 71% as a community. But then only 2.2 are registered. So it means our community voted about 1.5 million.
Yes.
But if we get to 4.7 and we maintain the 71%, we'll double, more than double the numbers that we put in 2022. So that's a big conversation that we'll solve with our people.
Yes. That gives you a better bargaining chip.
Yes, yeah.
And you said it's not wrong to bargain as a community, yeah?
It's not wrong. Any community should be able to bargain. Because Kenya belongs to all of us. Sure. Yeah. But if you don't have the numbers, then you can't have an excuse of saying that we are many. We are many, but you're not registered.
On that part of Raila Odinga factor? Because I know it's a big factor in this particular aspect of registration. You've mentioned that we had a 71 actually turnout in the averagely 71% turnout in 2022, and that Raila was alive, and Raila was actually not just alive; he was on the ballot, right? Right now, he's no more. He's not going to be on the ballot. But then again, he's a person that this region cherished for so many decades, right? How do we move on from this, ZB?
What we have, for me, it's number one is civic education. We must talk to our people. The reason that the whole of last week, this week, we're engaging the media is because as ZB, I may not reach everybody, but the media talks to the people every day. The people are watching TV, the people are listening to radio. So that's the advantage you are taking. That even if you cannot go to every village, we tell them the truth and what needs to be done. So that's the effort I'm putting into this.
If you allow me also to chip in, is that, we are running a scientific model and we are picking the reasons for various people for not deciding to vote. And 18.7% of the people that we have reached through the call center are talking about Baba as an issue. But it's something that we are giving questions and doing a bit of check on. You can imagine that 18.7 number of people feel demotivated to vote because of Baba is not there. And I think this is an area that our members of our political class can support us. They need to come out, reassure our people that Baba may be out, but the movement, because our people believe in the movement, I can tell you. The reality is that members of this community, most of us, we have been wired. We have lived, we have grown into this movement, we have lived into it. So our people believe in the movement. So members of our political class need to come in and tell people that Canaan, we have been going to Canaan for many years. That Bado, who is the name of the person who's taking people to Moses? Moses hajafika na sisi Canaan. Lakini we have been to the mountaintop, Bado tunaenda Canaan. Then people will come because that's how we are wired. Voter registration and the decide to vote is a behavioral attribute. And therefore, you can only change it. Our other scientists, we give scientific models, but we must take behavioral solutions. And one of the things that need to be done is to reassure our people that Moses is not there, but Bado we are on a journey to Canaan.
Still talking, you brought up a very important aspect of movement, and we're followers of these people from this region are followers of movements. We had an event, a political event in Kisumu yesterday. What do you make of that regarding these mobilizations in terms of voting? Does it play a role, ZB?
It plays a role, but it's not, we cannot say yesterday, what did you achieve? You don't have a way of telling the Kenyans, telling your people what you achieved. The point is, what we are doing today is that I can wake up next week and I tell you that because of certain efforts, we've reached somewhere. And this, to add to what Adhiambo said, what Bernard is saying, is that the politicians must also come into this, to tell our people to be able to register. Because I'll give you an example, probably I come from Mugunja, then come from Dindi Ward. You'll find that many politicians will look at, can I mix Dindi Ward? Register more than Mugunja Ward, than Sigombe Ward, you get? But we must come out of that. We must know that we are doing this for the community. So it's not about me personally, that now I should, like even today, our numbers in Ugunja are not good. Because I didn't come out that it's Ugunja that we are doing it for the community. So I should not come here and camp in Ugunja or camp in Siaya. I'm looking at the interest of the whole community.
Doing it for the community. What does the political class have in this?
They must come out and support the process. Because don't look at your own selfish interests. Because of course everybody must at some point be selfish. That is life. That's how we are wired. But then have that extra momentum for the community, for the people around you. Do something good, not because you are the winner or you are the one going to gain, but because at the end of the day somebody will remember you. That as a winner, as Bernard Adhiambo, you stood out for something, and you gave it to the community. Even if you don't gain individually from the effort, but it will be on record that you came out there and fought for the good.
If you allow me, Philip, to also chip in on the two questions. One is about yesterday political event and politicians. I'll start with the last one about politicians. The reality is that this exercise has gone, the enhanced voter registration And members of the political class from this region have not done as per expectation. We have done benchmarking with Turkana. Turkana is the leading.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, they had hit 100%.
Yes.
They're heading towards 160%. Imagine, in this window, Turkana are the ones leading
Samburu is
against
number
target. Samburu is number 2. And you can imagine the way Turkana and Samburu are strong.
Yes.
That's what I want to tell you, is that what has happened in Turkana, because you have to do benchmarking. What we did that we sent a member of the team to go to Turkana and establish why is it working in Turkana and not working in our region. The members of community of Turkana, leaders, community leaders, politicians, everyone has put their political affiliation aside. And people are focused on numbers. Political affiliation discussion will come next. But in our Lakeside region, what happened? The day this exercise was launched is the day we started political bickering about zoning, about who should be sacked, about who should be... And you ask yourself, and Raila Odinga is not there. You know, sometimes I pity members of the political class. And I don't want to be very political from this region. They behave as if Raila Odinga has gone for a safari and will come back to stabilize the ship. They have not woken up that Jacom, with the Luo you can say, Jacom Onge. Jacom is no more. I don't know who will help them. If we can put members of political class from this community in a seminar for 1 week, it will help. Just to tell them that Jacom is no more and it is permanent. They are behaving as if Raila is going to come next month to stabilize the ship and bargain and pull euphoria. That was an enigma. You can't replace him. You can't match him. You can't go to the table thinking that Raila is there. So we must be realistic. And number 2, I want to talk about what happened yesterday. And I'm happy you brought that question when I told you that members of this community love movement. Naturally, we like opposing. If you go to an organization, myself, I run a factory. We employ about 70 people. Do you know the leadership of the union? It's Luos. If you go to a factory, BAT, we are not the majority. But ukienda shop steward, ni Mjaluo. Civil service.
There's also real for universities.
Yes, university student leaders. We are not the majority. Myself, I was the chairman, and I also became Secretary General of SONU, Students University, Nairobi University, during my time. But we are not the majority. Luos are number 5, number 4 sometimes in the places. You go to Kibra, Luos are not the majority, lawyers are the majority. But Luos are the one pushing the narrative. So our members of this community naturally like opposing and pushing systems since 1963, or even before. So what happened in Kisumu is a reflection of who we are. And I want to thank the government for providing peace. Because the government decided to oppose that rally, we'll be talking about injured Luos, we'll talk about businesses that have been messed up, and that's what we want to see. Let people come, say what they want to say, let's differ on issues.
You're very right about that. You're very right about that.
Let's avoid violence. So that was a very, very good thing by government to allow a peaceful gathering, because it's only our members of this community that would have been hurt. So I wanted just to emphasize that what happened yesterday is a replica of our behavioral attributes as a community. Yes.
Zedrick.
Yes.
Bernard had mentioned something that myself I was happy about. I've been reporting on political affairs in this region for quite some years now, and what I noticed yesterday is different from what I've been noticing in the all other past meetings. Because if you looked at the atmosphere in the run-up towards yesterday's meeting, there was a little bit of tension.
Yes.
That did not happen. Actually, people thought there would be political confrontations among rival camps. We didn't see that. What does that make you think about this region again?
I think there are 2 big factors that happened yesterday. Some of us made efforts of telling our people that don't spoil a gathering. It doesn't help us. And some people want to see that side of the Luo community, side of violence, side of everything must be stopped. Allow people to associate. But I think also some of us also talked to the government, told them, if you come to interfere, just make sure this thing is peaceful, but don't take a side, because some people thought about that Linda Mwananchi is fighting the government, so the government will come out to fight the rally, and that wasn't the situation. The government was able to stand with the people and say that, okay, if Sifuna is coming, Babu is coming, Rayengo is coming, Let them talk to the people. It's their right.
How can we tap into this? The numbers again. This development, yesterday's event. Can we tap into it? Can we take advantage of it to drive up the numbers within these days remaining?
First of all, the first win that we have is because the rally went on. That's a win for the community. It means that people see that we are able to accept pluralism, which means people can belong to different political formations and everything else. So it means now going forward to register people, we tell them that we are not our people's enemies. We are not anybody's enemies, but we are friends and we are a community. So that's for me, it's the next step going forward. Okay. And talking of numbers again, because you see what we are driving as a team is the logic in numbers and everything. Today, we had some analysis. No protocol of terrain of numbers. Turkana is leading today. But if you look at the adult population of Turkana County, it is more than Nyeri County. But in Nyeri County, 63% of the people, of the adult population, are registered voters. In Turkana, we are talking about 43%. So it means even if you have to build up, show up numbers, so that Turkana reaches 63% like Nyeri, they'll have more numbers than Nyeri. You get it? So for us, this is statistics and figures, so that we debunk tyranny of numbers, because we want to become the tyranny as a community.
And really, if you allow me to chip in also on that, okay. and I like the way Engineer Zedbi is talking the tyranny. The reality is that as a community, we have the numbers. That's the reality. The only thing that we need to do is concerted effort, coordinated synergy, so that as we reach 2027, we are as close as possible to the projected 4.7 million. But I want to talk about what happened yesterday and about behavioral attribute of our people. Is that what happened yesterday tell us that we need political pluralism at the local level. And members of our political class have been pushing for political singularity, what they call, for lack of a better word, zoning.
Yes.
And if there's one enemy of the winning game plan, then it has singularity. And I want to tell you this without fear of contradiction, that with the kind of voter apathy that will be here after the Raila is gone, with the kind of demotivation and lack of morale that will be here after Raila is gone, with the kind of disillusionment that will be here after Raila is gone, that we're already witnessing through the call center research, the only way to make our people to come out and vote in large numbers is stiff competition. Okay. And this, what happened yesterday, triggers stiff competition. We want Linda Mwananchi to have candidates so that people come to vote. But what we want as a community, that we have to have singularity at the top. At the top, we'll be very happy if people compete. Uko Linda Mwananchi lakini uko juu unasema members of Lake Region wameamua wako na so and so. Uko juu. But uko chini, let people compete stiff, that we even achieve over 90% of voter turnout. Because that's the only way we'll be able to stiffen apathy. Or else, if you do zoning, and for example, you say where I come from, for example, Alego Usonga, and my good friend, Honorable Samatandi, has done a good job. He's very popular. I wonder why he is very strong on zoning. You allow that Atandi is the only candidate. You'll be surprised that less than 40% people will come to make him win. We'll win the MP, but at the top, we'll be asked Mlileta nini. So when the pie is being divided, Taboa Jalua Mlileta kura, milioni moja peke yake. So pluralism is very, very important. And we are going to push for it. We have been advocating for it. After this exercise, we'll come out and we'll again request the members of Fourth Estate to help us to push the information out there.
Before I give you a minute to pass your call to action to our viewers, actually, and also to members of this community. And we have a culture of last-minute trash. Do you think, what do you see between today and tomorrow? I'll start with you.
I think the highest will come in tomorrow.
Yes.
The second highest number will come in today. Okay. So tomorrow will be bigger. But you see, there's a joke when I went to Gunja 2 weeks ago. There's a joke about, I was talking to opinion leaders and all. They said that people expect that some goodies will come from some politicians or some people who want to be in government. Yes, yeah. So these guys are saying, if I take the vote today, this food might come tomorrow. And then if I have the vote, I cannot line up there. Because the goodies is being given to the people who are registering. So the people who are still watching, our people who are watching, that I'm going to register, but can I get something? It is the reality. We can't run away from it. So I'm seeing the second highest numbers today. The highest numbers will come in tomorrow. And I think we'll be able to share with you the data. And we'll give you the graph of how this thing has progressed so that we can be able to judge the future based on the reality of what has happened over the last 1 month.
Just on that very quick, can you speak a message to the potential voters? They have those that have IDs, they haven't registered as voters, and those that are over 18 years now, they don't have IDs, they don't have voters cards. Speak a message to them.
What I want to tell you guys, and I said this when I started the conversation today, it is that is your power. As an individual, when you're over 18, the ID is a power, and it's a power that you need to use to even travel. Actually, with an ID, you can go to Uganda, you can go to Burundi, you can go to Rwanda. Without a passport, the ID will enable you to move on. Today, we have the universal healthcare. Sure. Without the ID, you cannot be able to register for it. So even if I wanted to support you in terms to manage your health, because sometimes the best thing you can give to your people is also to secure them. So I can say that at Wycliffe, I'll pay you for the year for healthcare. But it is an ID for you to be able to enjoy that. So that our people must realize that that's the power we have. Registration as a voter is the power you have as an individual. Because I don't want to see a situation where people are complaining about the government, the MCA, the MP, but you don't have the voter. So you cannot vote. And then you complain about the performance of the people. You have the power to determine who comes into power.
The ID, the voters card gives them that power to do that, exactly. Yes. Bernard, your parting shot?
Thank you so much. I want to say that from the research we have done in this community, they are very shocking information that we have members of this community who are over 50. They don't have the ID. We have members of this community, leave alone ID, who have taken their children to school. They have schooled their children through secondary school and primary, and they've never had a bank account. A member of Luo community who is respected down in the village and has never, ever had a bank account. So this community, to be honest with you, we have been neglected. If you go to other places, and we have traveled locally, if you go to other places, a place like where I come from, Barding, should have a bank. Even 3 branches of bank, if you go to other regions. But we have been left behind in the community of this country. Therefore, based on this data that you found out, and which we could have more time to discuss these issues, and I really want to thank you. Number one, I want to request our people, those who have ID and don't have voters card, to register, irrespective of whoever you support. At this time, first of all, have the power to decide. Decide who governs you, decide who does not govern you. Number 2, those who have not taken ID, the government has come down, has made no fee to register ID. The government has done outreach programs in this region. Let's take advantage of that to register a large number. And there's a lot of fast tracking be done, the idea coming back faster. Once you have your ID, the first thing when you collect your ID, walk to the nearest IEBC center and register. When we have the numbers, then we can negotiate as a community. That's when we can have roads, that's when we can have hospitals, that's when we can have teachers in our schools. In this country, the way this country is wired, it is numbers that speaks, numbers that negotiate, numbers that elevate, numbers that brings development. Therefore, let us have the numbers.
The numbers. And that is where we put a cap on our conversation this morning on this whole aspect of voter registration, an exercise, actually the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise that we've been having for the last 27 or 8 days for now, because it's an exercise that ends, concludes tomorrow. And you've heard my guest very right, because this community is looking into an extrapolated figure of about 4.4 potential voters going into 2027. Why would you want to miss to be part of that, that number? that is conversation that we've been having here. And remember, the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise ends tomorrow, but that should not leave you behind. This exercise, the continuous voter registration will continue at the constituency level. So get your ID. If you don't have one, get your ID, walk into the constituency office, get enlisted as a voter, because that gives you the power actually to put the person you want into that office, so that you don't complain about the services going in, after the 2027 general election. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for availing time for us to have the conversation with you. I wish we could have much more time for this, but then again, there is a lot that is going on in the country, and like we've just seen, we have the Connected Africa Summit 2026 that is underway in Nairobi, and that's a conversation that brings together players within the digital space actually to talk about how Africa can come together, can leverage technology actually to unite as a continent. Well, my name is Wycliffe Okech. We want to end this conversation here from Lakeside Kisumu. And remember, I'll still remind you, we are having this conversation from Mirage Palace here in Kisumu. And so that means if you are in Kisumu for whatever reason, you may want to pass by and sample some of the services or other facilities that they have as a way to promote them, just like they've accorded us this space actually to have this conversation for the benefit of our people. Good Morning Kenya continues on the other side, in Nairobi, but for us here in Kisumu, we end it there, and I'd urge you to keep it Channel 1. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. I am Wycliffe Okech.
Wycliffe Okech right there talking about a very important conversation about voter registration. I want us to cross over to, as he has rightly put it, to Edge Convention Center where the Connect Africa Summit is happening, and our reporter Ben Troy is on standby to bring us up to speed with what is happening. Ben Troy, if you can hear me, what's the latest from that side? All right. We shall get back to Ben Troy, who is in South Sea covering the Connect Africa Summit 2026. Ben Troy, if you can hear me, what's the latest from South Sea?
Ready? Ready when you are. Well, a very good morning back in studio, and indeed, as they've rightly put it, that we'll be here for the next 4 days at the Connected Africa Summit, being the 15th edition. And as I mentioned, actually, allow me just to point out the theme for this year, which is Uniting Africa's Innovation for an Inclusive Digital Market. We're expecting about over 1,500 exhibitors and also policymakers right here from about 30 African countries, which is the biggest Connected Summit in the continent. And allow me, because of the interest of time, to just rope in one of the guys who has already arrived here as we are waiting for more, just to tell us why indeed they are here, where he works from, and what are the take-homes for him in the next couple of days. Good morning and welcome to KBC Channel 1. You're live on the national broadcaster. Tell us your name, which organization that you come from, and why you are here for the Connected Africa Summit.
Sure. So I'm Dev Aditya. Great to be here in Africa. I'm the CEO and AI architect of Ottomans Institute. We build AI teachers. We deploy AI teachers.
Where are you based?
We are based in London, United Kingdom. We work in about 24 countries. But we deploy AI teachers that work without the internet. And for the whole of Africa, the seed was sown here in Kenya. We are working closely with the ICT Authority, with the ICT Ministry, with the British High Commission in Nairobi. And it's absolutely great to be here. Great energy this morning.
Why are you here, and what are your take-homes for this in the next couple of days?
Well, we are here to showcase what we are trying to do, how we are working with the government, because Kenya is the country that showcased the world over and over again, right? Let's talk about digital payments, M-Pesa. So can we talk about offline AI? Because the internet still is a bottleneck. And we are here to showcase what we are doing, gather partners, and really ramp up for the next year.
It's a good thing that you've mentioned AI, and Africa is adopting AI. Kenya has been in the region one of the leaders. This may be why you are here, and some of the challenges in the AI sector, including cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. See, cybersecurity is one problem, right? I think the biggest problem when you're talking about last mile usage of AI is still connectivity. That's what we have solved, right? And when you have a system like ours, it's called Edge AI, which is offline AI, it is also safer in terms of privacy because a lot of that compute happens on your device. It doesn't go to the cloud, right? So there are a lot of steps and challenges that need to be figured out, but I think Kenya is going to be the first in Africa to do it. Yeah.
And after the summit itself, this year we're talking about actually implementing what we've been looking at in the last year, for example, 2024 and 2025. This year being one of the years that we are looking at where we are. As a continent, UK, of course, is a little bit ahead of Africa in terms of AI adoption and, of course, technology. Where do you see Kenya and African countries in regards to where we are in terms of AI and cybersecurity?
See, I think every year the steps matter. I'll give you an example. Last year, the curriculum of ICT Authority for digital upskilling of 20 million citizens was launched. Guess what? This year, we are teaching your people using our system that curriculum. So every year, the steps matter. From an African standpoint, there is no doubt that you're going to catch up in AI, right? You've got a lot of talent. But more importantly, you have to. Because by 2050, I think 1 in every 4 people in the world is going to be African, right? So it's about who writes this script. I think Africa is going to certainly write the script. And it's not about being too late. That's not a problem at all. I don't see that as a problem. You can see it all around you.
Yeah. What does Africa has that is just like you said, in the next couple of years will be quite scaled up? What do you think Africa has that is special in terms of artificial intelligence and AI?
Okay, first of all, you've got youth. You're the youngest continent, right? You've got youth who are hungry to learn. Right. If you give them the right knowledge, which we do, for instance, they are going to learn, and you've got this army of youth who can really take you into spaces. Secondly, I think you've got a lot of natural resources, which is also required for things like data centers, right? So Africa is poised there. Now, also geopolitically, you are sitting right in the middle of, the Europe and the Asia and all of that, right? So if you're not going to take advantage of it, who will? But if we shouldn't only be positive here, I think there should be a sense of urgency. If there is no urgency, then you might miss the wave, which I absolutely don't want. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best in this convention.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Allow me just to rope in another expert in regards to this, because as I said, expecting over 1,500 exhibitors and also policymakers as well. Kindly tell us your name, from which organization that you're coming from, and why are you here at the Connected Africa Summit?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Dr. Baldi Ottomans, Director of Ottomans Institute from London, United Kingdom. As you just met my colleague, we're here to really showcase the work we've been doing, particularly in Kenya. We went to very remote places in Wajir, in Mandera, close to the Somalia border. And what we saw there was learners learning through our system, getting upskilled, getting ready to take the next step and become what they want to become. And that's what we want to showcase here and see where else can we take this in Kenya.
Yeah, and based on the theme, we are uniting Africa innovation for an inclusive digital market. Where do you think we are as a digital market?
Well, I think you're right at the center of it. M-Pesa was born here. So you're already using digital payments. So let's use technology to also use education digitally, healthcare digitally. And I think Kenya can be the center to then go and amplify it to the regions around you, to see how you can be an example and that the others can follow. So I think we're right at the center of it today.
And we are also expecting policymakers. We're expecting the ICT Cabinet Secretary here in the country, and of course a number of other dignitaries here. And when you talk about policy and the turnaround time between when the policy is made and when the actualization is it, where are we as a continent?
I think we're at the right moment at the moment. We are already working with your ICT Ministry and ICTA. It's been a great partnership, and I think that's where we can make the change. If we work together in partnership, policies can turn into actions and don't just stick on the shelf and become dusty. So I hope that we're going to get more actions today and in the next 3 days, so we can even amplify what we do with the partners around us to make sure that we can really grow as a continent.
And again, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked. What will be your take home in the next 4 days?
See who else we can partner with, because we can't do this alone. That's why we're working with the British High Commission Nairobi, the other partners we have here in Kenya, and to see how many more partners can we get to really amplify the work, so that all these other thousands of underserved and marginalized populations can also benefit from the current technology that exists.
Based on what you've seen in the other Africa Connected Summit and where we are in 2026, as a continent and as a region, Kenya being one of the biggest internet hub in Africa, where are we?
I think we started with the Kigali conference last year with the promise to make 15% of Africans AI literate. That's why we started our project, and to upscale already over 200,000 young people in Kenya to make them AI literate, because that's the first step. If they're not knowing what AI is, how will they be able to use it in their daily lives and in their professional lives? And that was where we started our wave here in Kenya. So I believe the continent is ready for this disruption, ready to take the lead and not fall further behind, to close the gap between Africa and the rest of the world.
Closing the gap. Final word.
Yes, closing the gap, that's what we're here for, to make sure the gap is as small as it can be, and hopefully actually it will not be there anymore.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very well, just like you've heard, is that we are indeed moving towards a digital space, and just like he said earlier on, is that 1 in 4 Africans has to be illiterate in the next couple of months, and we are at the center of it all. Allow me just to mention the key milestone we are expecting is that is the official launch of the Africa Connected Summit Secretariat, which will be chaired by Kenya, Kenya being the region and of course the continent, one of the continents, the top guns or legal minds when it comes to information communication and technology. And we are also here with a number of companies. A number of companies are also here to showcase what they are doing in information technology, and also more specifically on cyberspace. And later on, we are also here with my colleague Alan Aoko, and we'll also be looking at some of the things that, building on 2024 and 2025 summits, where are we, not only as a country, but also as a continent. Back to you in studio.
Is that for sale? The gray one?
Yes, that's for sale.
Bring it.
Sure, sir.
My budget's about...
Why are you still moody?
I bought you in a purse.
Are you pretending to be rich or just insane, huh? Where'd you get that kind of money?
I'll work hard and buy you a leather one.
Don't buy expensive stuff for me. You like?
Jina! Akia watoto wa siku hizi wakiwa nasumbua. Usikose kuona Gundu KBC Channel 1 every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Ujionee hivi vituko vya watoto wa siku hizi wanaosumbua wazazi na mengine mengi. Keep it Gundu.
Many thanks for staying with us right here on KBC Channel 1. You are watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migo. Welcome back. You're just in time for Family Check. You know that's the drill every Monday morning where we get to talk about what is affecting our families. And today we are going to look at something that is very pertinent. Now picture this. I'm going to paint a simple but kind of an unsettling image. A family seated together at the dining table. Everybody is on their phone. The dad is on their phone, the mom is on their phone. The kids are on their tablets. They are on the dining table. Yes, they are together, but they are not even talking. Everyone is glued to their gadget. What are we doing in as far as family bonds is concerned? At that time when we used to have those family dinner time conversations, or when a family is just having a downtime where they're just relaxing, nowadays you will find most, if not all, glued to their phones. So we just want to see how can we break that loop of virtual isolation, because this has brought about the aspect of silent households. For that conversation, I'm joined by William Deche, who is a psychologist. Thank you for making time. And also Isha Dunga, who is a life coach, CEO, Ecovest Consultants Limited. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay.
You know, let's get into this conversation now. First of all, when we say we are breeding or they are silent households, William, what are we talking about, really?
We are talking about the whole factor of connectedness within the family.
Yes.
The whole value of a family is its attachment on where we get to see the dynamics that are there. The dad is the house person taking care of the family, provider, and so on, the protector, the mom being the person who tenders to the house, and the child being the good person, the good child going to school and so on and so forth. Now, when we talk about the silence, it's where we get to see a lot of dependency on such things as social media and the AI. And we see the roles in these families now being a little bit detached.
Yeah.
So the dad is a provider, protector, and so on. Yes, when he comes at the household, he's supposed to be mentally present. Get to find out, hey, Junior, have school been? What has been happening? Or the mom looking after the child. Today you have a wound. What's happening here? The silence now starts enveloping the family setup, and we get to see people who are not consciously aware within the family, people who simply pass by and not care much about the child, or simply assume that the child is doing okay, but the reality is there's a lot.
A lot that goes on, because first of all, we are not even admonishing tech, because the world is changing. Tech is advancing at a very fast pace. But then again, when you look at the dynamics, what emerges is what would say is a form of co-present isolation, Isha, because we are sharing space as a family.
Correct.
But we are so engrossed in our gadgets, there is no connection.
Yes.
So at what point does that screen use come out as cross from convenience to distraction?
You know, just like you have been able to put it, we shouldn't be able to really look at technology as a demon that has actually been able to encroach our spaces.
Yes.
There are reasons and there are good sides of the technology. But I think most of the families and households have gone ahead to glorify certain connections that they find online and in their tech gadgets, to a point whereby the values that are supposed to be, you know, becoming the real sediment of our connections as a family is now disrupted. You know, I've been able to see circumstances whereby a family, there is a child that has been able to Google certain information and then starts to practice this information that probably was trying to look at. And then this changes the whole perspective and character of this child to a level whereby by the time the parent comes to realize that something is changing in this child, it's already too late.
Too late, yes.
But it's not only in the children alone. You see, a certain research that had been carried out by Stanford indicates that when somebody is glued so much into the screen, there are certain parts of the brain that are being affected. And one of them is the learning area and the memory area. You realize that today we are so much tech dependent that we can't be able to creatively come up with certain aspects. And so even when it comes to our cognitive ability, both the adults and the children are seriously affected. Now, when it comes to the use of the screen, the perspective of moderation are very key. But then we are not really deliberate in looking at that part. Somebody wants to post something online. But then you want to feel that you have got more family online than the present ones that you are having within the
Very
house.
true, very true.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and it really makes you to feel that if I post a picture and I don't get the correct comments and the correct likes, then seems like I'm slipping away into some, again, other deeper virtual isolation.
Yes.
You become isolated from your present family, but again, you still feel that you are being abandoned by even your online close family. That is now when the screen starts to become a menace in the life of a family setup. Yeah.
He has mentioned a very important aspect of having a more present family online as opposed to your actual family, which now brings about this question. Is there a generation shift? Are we witnessing a generational shift in how families relate, or there's a breakdown of something that is more fundamental? Is there a shift in how now these relations is happening?
Well, there's always been a shift in how relations have been happening through centuries. Innovations have been a key factor for change within the family.
Yes.
But one key factor that we need to consider is the need for simplicity. We seek for simplicity within our day-to-day lives, be it within the family or anywhere. There's innovations like the vacuum cleaner and so on. Now, when the phone and the whole aspect of social media and AI kicks in, there's a whole diluting that happens on where I come in. I may not really understand my child to a certain degree. Therefore, I will use what I understood back then from my upbringing to simply assume or paint it as defiance. Later enough, this will lead the child to drive deeper into dependency of the whole social media aspect that is there. So we are getting to see that we are changing the family dynamic. The family dynamic is circulating and evolving, but unfortunately we might not be relating to the change that is happening there. My perception is, if we are able to find a common point of relation that does not fixate over the fact that I was familiar with how things were going, but this is too new. Depending on my belief, this is not the right way to do things, and so on and so forth. With such a mindset, it pushes people away. It pushes the young, it pushes the old, it pushes all this. We need to grow without the whole significance of fear to it. If not, we are going to see regression in family values that are there. Yeah, we have the good old days where people used to sit together and have conversations and talk about how school was. But are we able to fit in to the new nature that is there? Yes, there is the presence of technology that is there, but are we able to correlate with that factor? I have an unpopular theory. Many people would assume that technology is too bad, but what are the chances that it worked so good to the point on where it never matched with the pace we were able to take? Its job is to entertain and to give us that visual satisfaction. Now, if things are not okay in one point at home, you will run away to that satisfaction on your screen. If you are not feeling hard, you'll run away to your screen. So it's worked too good to the point it looks too bad. On where children are, if I'm not able to find mommy's or daddy's attention, I know there are millions of followers or thousands or 50 followers who I might go text my personal issues, and they might be like, okay, so this is what you're going. Oh, so sorry. And then we might have someone who will troll you there and so on and so forth. We need to grow with time. The dynamic of family needs to evolve with time.
You know, tech, I don't think it's neutral. It's engineered for attention. That's why we have different apps, different platforms. But then again, based on what Deche has said, my question to you is, does everyone want to be left alone?
Mike, I think, let me demystify this, starting from a little bit far off.
Yes.
There is these, these mythical sentiments that comes from probably parents and even the people that we are. Like when you were born and when you were growing up, definitely tech wasn't there. In fact, let's start with the phone. The phone was not there. No. In fact, when I started watching television, my dad had bought a Great Wall television, which was black and white. Yes. And it was actually the time for watching was measured. It was not measured because of certain controls, but because of the way things were. There was no electricity in the village, so you used the
battery.
So the battery will only take you some time. You get it? So it will go for like about 2 hours.
Yes.
Then the battery is done.
Yes.
And so you would only wait to watch very critical and important programs. And you are sure it will go for 2 hours.
Including the news.
Including the news.
Yes.
That time KBC, you will be able to wait for that particular time that the KBC is supposed to bring the news. Then you grow up to a level. I remember in around 2001.
Yes.
Now phone starts to encroach, but then now a few elites get to have it. But then today, number one, there are these mythical sentiments. Number one says that I want my children to be much good in technology, not like we grew up.
Yes.
So when the child demands for the phone and demands to watch the screen, then the best way is to give them, because you don't want them to go through what you went through. That's a mythical sentiment that is actually destructive in its very original nature. Number two, have you ever had a parent trying to praise a small child before you at how that child knows how to operate
the
phone? And it tells you that this is very intelligent. Atalia, and apart from that, you feel some sort of satisfaction.
Yeah.
You want to compare your child to other children that have not been able to get hold of the phone, and you feel that now that they have been able to know how to operate it, now they are much more ahead. But the question is, even if they know how to operate the phone, what is the use of the operating the phone in terms of their development? How does it contribute to their development? And what is the other side of their own destruction if you only stop looking at the development side? And you see, I am very passionate about this because as a parent, I am at that age whereby you would want to see your children growing up in a very, straight way and becoming different from other children. And this has also caused us as parents that you want your child to appear to be more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you introduce them to certain level of technology that are only detrimental, but not constructive. Now, when you reach that level whereby you have been able to make use of that opportunity of introducing technology to the child, and even you as a as an adult, you start to feel that this is the partner that is making you happy. You get to the live, and then people talk so nice about what you're doing, others are criticizing, and then you realize that when others are talking so nice, you feel good, and those who are criticizing, you block them, and then you start to feel that you have got an authority over who you want to listen to and who you don't want to listen to. And therefore, you will realize that people start to develop a certain attitude that if I don't want to listen to what you're saying, I can shut you like I block a friend on Facebook, on Twitter, or whichever the kind of channel that you're using. Then we borrow wholesomely that particular way, and we bring them into our life. So your spouse is telling you something very important. You know what you do? You take the earpods and you plant them.
Yeah.
And then you now keep looking at your spouse speaking. Then he thinks that you're listening. Could be you're listening to the music or whatever you're listening to. So to some extent, now it starts to push us for more isolation as time goes by, to a level whereby all your solutions are virtually sourced. All your aspects of growth and queries are now virtually sourced.
Yes.
And you have to believe at what that person has written as the main source of the growth perspective that you're looking at. And therefore, we must be very careful with the technology, even as we keep indulging it in our system. Yeah.
Very important. Because the question that would come out, Deche, is why is it so hard to break this loop of using tech or getting glued to our screens when it's family time?
I think I'd focus more on the conditioning bit. The brain is plastic.
Yes.
It bends and morphs easily. But with time, there's the whole progression of the bending and morphing. Now, social media is a very interesting aspect of the virtual space because it works on a rewarding type of system. It conditions you from a basis of reward. So when you're focused on that bit of getting likes or looking at certain events on TikTok and such, the algorithm keeps on adding up the whole process and puts maybe something more interesting, and you find yourself constantly seeking that dopamine reward that is there, so you're constantly stuck on your phone. And you'll find that it's not only at the dinner table, but also an hour before you study, or maybe when you're in class. It's all about the addictive aspect of it that plays its role.
Yeah.
And this becomes very destructive because, yes, as much as the brain is plastic, our consciousness tends to not be quite understanding in such a way. Because once you're glued to it, and once you stay for a long period away from the virtual space, you find yourself delving into a level of uncertainty because you are used to constantly finding your dopamine rush on scrolling from one event to another. So you feel like you wouldn't, there's no way you'd find yourself out of this space. And you panic.
Yeah. And you know, you said something about children demanding for these gadgets. But then again, when you look at parents, you know, the pressures of life are there. Is it also a case where parents are also giving in to their own demand and going back to tech to just zone out, so to speak, and maybe debrief from the hassles of life?
Pretty true. That in most of the cases, the parents are running away from the difficult, what they perceive to be difficult work of ensuring that every detail of value system in the family is followed up to. And so, you see, when a parent, for instance, when you go to church, for those who attend church, it is important that we get to concentrate for whatever the program that are going on in the church. But then you come to the realization that when you as a parent is seated looking at the person who is speaking and listening, the child wants to make noise, and so for you to not do the difficult work of disciplining the child, you take the phone and give the child and put the lowest volume, or just give them, but then you even tell them reduce the volume, so that they can be distracted, not to make noise, to allow you to listen to the word. But then, you see, you forget that you are an adult. The life of this young one is very key when it comes to development. So as parents, I think we pass, a lot of responsibility to the technology world, and we give in to the bustle and hustles that are actually coming to us. This one goes also to the point when you have come from work. And you feel that you are tired, and therefore you can't be able to have a conversation with the children. So you come in and then they start demanding for your phone. But because you don't want to really get into much issues, you give them the phone. I've been able to put this as a rule in my house. My phone and my wife's phone are never to be touched by the children. And when the child touches that phone, he gets a reward system which is painful. And that reminds them that when they keep doing that, they will always keep getting that reward. And so it prevents them. Even though this one happens, a number of occasions, I found my young boy is about 3. I'm with my phone here, and he comes to say hi, he sits on me, and all of a sudden he's lost. But then everybody is lost from the sitting room. Now when I say everybody, now all the children. So we are there with the madam. But you wonder, these children are always making noise around here, you know. What has just changed? When you look at your side, you realize, the phone went long time ago. They have taken the phone, and they have gone and hidden in their bedroom, and they are making sure that they don't make noise so that you detect that something is going on. They become cheeky and all that, but that is very normal. But upon realizing that, you still snatch the phone, take it back, and say that I don't want such kind of a thing to happen. That makes some sort of regulation to the children and even to us. Now come to the adults part. You know, Mike, it's very important to underscore the importance of getting to have a family connection. Where you can be able to have stories. At a point of time, I normally tell my wife that we go on a date, but then we leave our phones in the car. Sometimes it becomes a very difficult affair. At 30 minutes, you feel like somebody might have looked for you and something very critical, maybe you're going to miss out. And so you go occasionally to check on the phone. But those are some of the things that we try to practice to ensure that you can still be able to regulate the amount of screen time and the amount of time you spend maybe in the social media. Lastly, there is a very important perspective of the social media that has been created by those creators. I don't know whether you've ever gotten to one of the social media or any of them, and then they tell you that there is one post that so-and-so commented on, but you have not seen it. You see? Yes. So you go and check which post was this that has been recommended for me that I've not been able to see. You come and realize that probably it was one movie that you had commented on some 2 weeks ago, which you liked. And somebody again came and posted something related to it, and then you're being called on to that. So like Deji said, the social media has been made in such a way that it keeps calling you back. And if you take a long time, it will tell you that, you know, you've taken a long time before posting this video. This video trended so well, you should be focusing on such kind of videos. And then you start getting that dopamine rush to ensure that you keep yourself glued there. And then it becomes detrimental.
Yeah, very important. And you know, children, they model behavior.
Correct.
And they pay attention to what a parent is doing. And, you know, they tend to replicate that in the way they behave. But then again, what are we losing?
Good question. First thing we are losing is the idea of family values. I think it's a cliche at this point, but it needs to be said. There's a factor of family values that is getting lost. The togetherness, the time spending and such. We are also losing social skill build-up. So that means typical skills like communication skills are being eroded slowly because you're used to being pinned into the phone, and communication becomes a big no-no, or rather a big struggle at that point. We're also losing a lot in regards to the idea of our perspective of the ideal self, because there's an imitation of what should or could have been from the whole social media perspective, and feeling like I'm not perfect. I see people parading in certain ways, wearing certain things, driving certain things, and I cannot imitate that. And they look way beyond what I'm capable of. Others do post about going abroad or doing remarkable things.
Yeah.
So that really does quite a number to the self-esteem and ideal self perspective. And I think the last part, we are generally losing who we are as people.
Yeah.
Because we feel, as I said before, I'll just borrow from the point before, we are focused on what we could have been. Based on the whole portrayal of social media or the virtual space. I forgot to point out mostly on the dependency of the AI. There are a lot of skills being lost there also from attention and studying skills that are there, because what you need, you get on an instant. All you need to do is type a topic and then it shoots out ideas with added factors that are there. So it's simplified for you, but we have grown into a system, or we have been through a system on where you need to hustle to get your resources. From a university perspective, you need to have references. You need to do all this type of perspectives and things, and now you're minimized to just type the topic and then it will bring you a whole written essay. Where you can copy, paste, and rephrase. Yeah. So the authenticity of the professionalism in work, the professionalism in studies gets eroded in that. Yeah.
You know, Isha, how then do we recalibrate this going forward? Because yes, I don't think the answer is simply in reducing screen time. There is something about consistency in enforcing rules. Would that work with the moderation that you're talking about?
First, let me be straightforward that yes, it can be able to work. But before I get to that response, there's a very important thing that Deche has been able to touch on. And you ask the question, what are we losing?
Exactly.
In fact, I can tell you that we are losing our identity. We are losing the sense of empathy. I can tell you that recently on the other day, a certain young people pictured their friend, correct, getting drowned in a river, simply because you didn't want to capture that moment of the death of another one.
Yes.
We have lost our moral system, values, identity, and it makes us now to become a different beast of the people. So how do we recalibrate this to a point whereby we can start looking at it in an wholesome way of not only just reducing the screen time, and also looking at the consistency part of it? You know, everything is that you'd want to do, you must be intentional about. So there is the perspective of becoming intentional. You have got a mindset that is not like the computer. You know, the difference between a computer and the mind is that there is a junction in the mind that when you reach a point, you make a decision. You can either go left or go right. So when you become intentional in whatever you want to do, and if you say that this is the disadvantage that this is creating in me, then you must start becoming intentional, and then start small in terms of ensuring that whatever you'd want to expose yourself to the screen to do becomes a very constructive aspect. You'd want to do research, because with the screen you get research. With the screen you get information that are very important for your businesses. I'm in business, I'm a director, and I would want to get to the screen to ensure that my product and services reach out there to the people. I need to tell them that I do tax, I do finance, but then I can only do that through the technology. But then if I only have to get to the screen simply to satisfy myself, then that intention is something that is now going to be detrimental to myself. So in order to make things work out very well, we must be intentional in terms of our behavioral with the screen. And number two, we also have to look at our value system and the way of connectedness. Is it possible, you can be able to start reminiscing of how things used to be in the past. He talked about it. At the point of time, I bring my wife on the table, and to ensure that the conversation kicks in, I start reminding her on the days I started looking for her. That story starts to become so interesting that she puts the phone down aside, so that we start now talking about it. You know, before long, we have talked for 1 hour, remembering a certain element of that dating point that makes us to stay away. It becomes intentional. Yes. You get it? So I believe that we can be able to look at the intentionality in terms of starting and proving.
Yes.
Going forward.
And that is because, if, you know, it's family. You don't have to like have a specific topic to talk about just to drive conversation. It can come from anywhere. Maybe experiences, what you used to have when you are kidogo. Like, it doesn't have to be something that is well structured, well thought out. You just introduce a conversation and the rest will follow. And that way people will put their phones away. I want to circle back to the whole aspect of breaking that loop, because as I said before, children mirror behavior. And for instance, if a parent's attention is kind of divided, a child may learn that divided attention is normal, because it's easy for them to learn from their parents. So how much responsibility are we placing on technology and the parenting choices?
Good question. There's a key factor of conscious awareness that comes into parenting, on where you're not there simply physically, but also emotionally and mentally and so on. You're fully there. Yes. But for some households, we get to see where parents come in very distracted. And one thing about the developmental area of childhood is children are used to consistency. Yes. If you are not consistent, then a child will get to understand, oh, well, you know, why bother? Why should I even go on with this? To worsen it, you're adding, giving them your gadget into the wound. So you're worsening the whole situation. So the child becomes conditioned to the idea of dad is not consistently present. Mom is not consistently present. When you get to mom, she says, I'm tired. I need to go take a nap. Come bother me later or something like that. Or the dad comes in and goes straight to sleep instead of having that conscious awareness of walking through the room, checking on the kids, checking on the procedures and so on. So we tend to see a lot of parents being more dependent on the technological basis for child raising and using all manners of excuses. Like when Mr. Dunga talked about the parent comes in and just gives out the mobile phone as in, she's very smart child. Yeah, give him the phone. He knows how to maneuver the whole process. But the reality is it smartness or is it simply an avoidance that you're seeking? You don't want to be accustomed to the idea of getting to understand your child. So you're going to be dependent on your gadget to play that role. And at that point, we are going to see quite a cluster of issues that will pop up there, because now when that child is dependent on it, they will be dependent on finding that short burst of satisfaction in it and avoid the consistency aspect that are there within the family.
What does it speak about discipline within the family when we let ourselves, or people let themselves, get engrossed in a screen and maybe shun away times when parents would speak authoritatively on their kids?
Very bad. The discipline has deplorably reduced. And I can tell you that if there's something that I've been singing to my children, is that there is no success without discipline, just to instill the sense of understanding that discipline is a key component of their growth. I can tell you that I don't know whether you've been able to experience this. Online, somebody is so harsh, doing very bad texts, to a point whereby you know if you meet this guy, this guy is going to finish you.
Yes.
But when you meet this person, you get again the opposite of the person that you thought. We have only practiced probably typing so harshly and becoming indisciplined online, to a point whereby when you are now called upon to defend whatever the things that either you are saying, doing, or writing while you are behind the screen alone, then it becomes very difficult to do so. The perspective of discipline has become so bad. Do you know, I remember a time, and that is when I came to realize that this loop is very difficult to break, but it is very important, and we need to see how to break it. That time that we were sitting in the dining table with the family, and Madame sends my older daughter to go to the kitchen and get a cup of water and bring. So my daughter gets to the kitchen and gets the cup, and instead of bringing the water, he gets the oil from the container, and he pours it in the cup and brings it. So when you look at the cup, what is this? All this time, you know, the child has been
on the phone.
Yes. Another day, I get to my house and I tell my boy, go to the bedroom and get me my socks. So he gets to the bedroom, he gets a towel and he brings, and he doesn't give me the towel. He gives the mother. And you're like, I'm waiting for the socks, and the mother is getting the towel that she didn't ask for. There's something that is being broken. The attention to detail.
Yes, the level of concentration.
Yes, the level of concentration. Now, when the level of concentration and attention to detail has been distracted in an individual, you will start doing things that were not expected of you. And then the perspective of indiscipline starts to crop up, because you'd also still want to defend why you did it that way and not the other way around. So it is very important we get to understand that this thing has got everything to do with discipline. The discipline of an individual, the discipline of even the older people. I don't know, you've been able to see, and I've been able to witness this. Somebody gets to the office, but in the first 1 hour, he's still getting updates into the employer's time. From 8, he's gotten to work at 8, clocked in at 8, gets to the machine, puts on the machine. But before getting to the very work, in the same machine, he opens a tab, opens the social media, and starts to get updates. In 1 hour's time, this person has not attended to the employer's work. The discipline stops being there. Once we have been able to waste a lot of time there, is when now you would want to now start doing things in a rushed manner. And you would want to break that consistency in terms of delivery. And then you start becoming a very lethargic and lazy personnel at the work. Even your productivity goes down. So long as the discipline has been affected, even other things becomes a problem. So it is true, the discipline has deplorably gone down. Yeah.
William, if we are to replace or take away devices, what do we put in their place?
Very tricky question. Because if I'm looking at devices, I'm looking at it from two perspectives. There's the positivity in regards to communication of individuals way abroad. But there's also the dependency type of issue.
Yes.
I think allow me to challenge the question and state, what if we were to take away the whole perspective of, you know, the social media bit? What can we replace it with? So possibly having the basis of communication for the long-term relationship still there, but being more personalized. Instead of having a group of individuals seeing, having you and me sharing photos and communicating, rather than having the whole collective perspective that is contributing there. Mr. Dunga has talked about the whole idea of having a relationship online, the connectedness that is happening online. You're following people who you didn't even know, who you've never interacted with for quite a long while now. That gives you the diversity in regards to your relationship forming skills, but at the same time it makes you feel like there's the keyboard warriors who are there, who are constantly texting nasty things and such and so on. So if we are able to get to have a more focused type of device setting on where I'm having a communication with you and you're having a communication with me, or we are having a communication with family strictly, then that would be the perfect answer I'd give.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. You know, it's an ongoing conversation and we shall be looking at it different perspectives, but I thank you gentlemen for making time because that was our time, and we want to end it at that, and probably we could have this conversation again next week, but we'll let you know if that is possible. That is William Deche, who is a psychologist, and also Isha Dunga, who is a life coach and CEO, Ecovest Consultants Limited. This conversation ends now on the entire Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Megu. Enjoy the rest of your video.
I'm Martha Karimi. I grew up in Githurai and I started playing football at the age of 8 years. And back then there was no girl playing football. I started playing with boys just in the neighborhood. And I got an opportunity to participate in one of the local leagues. It was organized by an organization known as Mathare Youth Sports Association, MISA. It gave me a platform to showcase my talent, and that's how I got exposure to travel, and also to show that the game can also be played by girls or by women. And that time it was very difficult. It was very challenging coming from a family that never understood that a girl can play football. They used to understand that it's a game for boys. And the only way I could get out and try to find a solution was to sneak. And because that's what I liked most. Most of the time I would spend my time playing football. And sometimes you get beaten because you escape. But again, I never lost hope, because I got an opportunity to travel to Norway to participate in an international tournament that brought hope to my family, and they understood that talent can pay and can make me become a better person and travel the world. And at this point, that time changed my mentality. It changed also the mentality of my neighborhood. And at this point, I've grown to understand that a game is not only played by women, and not only by playing, you can also become a role model. And getting that chance to play abroad, I began also thinking of playing professional, and it opened ways also for me to participate and also to play in the national team at the age of 15 years. And I had an opportunity to captain for the national team for 15 years. And I stopped playing for the national team the year 2016. And it gave me a lot of thoughts how I can also be able to give back to my own community through the game. I've participated in programs in Kenya that have taught me about life skills, how to deal with challenges in the community. And that program, known as World Coaches, it's an international social program in the Netherlands that have brought a lot of impact into my life. And I decided to start this project in the year 2020 with an aim of trying to discover young talents and to nurture them while they're still young. So it was very challenging because at that time, no one was